Hello, everybody. Welcome to Getting Down with Dave and JT Kirk. How you doing, JT?
Hey, yeah, great. I just had to mute the YouTube side because I just got what you said twice. So
Yep,
that was fun.
that's what
But
I
no,
do. I have to do that as well because I do the
yeah,
YouTube side on another laptop, as I tell everybody every week, right?
oh yeah,
And hello to Buddy and Cap. So I
yeah.
have to
Hey guys,
wait. I have to wait for it to play before I can mute it. So it doesn't give you that option until it starts.
right.
So, like, kind of thing. So I guess you can mute the computer though. I guess I don't know.
Can
Anyway,
you believe it? We're
hey
on the last
everybody.
one. Can you believe this
Yeah,
is the last issue tonight?
dude. I know, right? Even with we took the weeks off, but we're here already. Oops, I
Yeah.
grabbed the wrong comic. 23, last and final issue, everybody. And it's all I can say. Are you ready for a good one? I guess, or
I'm curious what the
maybe.
yellow outline is on these
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. So let's go ahead and I'll pull this up for everybody. If I haven't already done so, it should be up and over. Yep, it's up and over. Then I'll pull it up on our side, on my side, I guess, so I can scroll, see if it starts scrolling. And 10, 9. Yep, okay, it's working. Yay. Yeah, everybody, last issue. It's a collector's item, JT. Can you believe
Well,
that?
we've had, yeah, oh yeah, a
I'm,
collector's item.
I mean, like, can you imagine going into a store and saying, I haven't bought any of these, but I'm going to buy this one because it told me to.
Oh yeah, because it told you to. I
Yeah.
was thinking more of it like how bittersweet that would be if you'd worked on this comic that it's the last issue.
Yeah.
I always wonder if those guys are so busy that they like already have something else lined up and maybe it's not that big a deal, or if it's kind of like the end of a school year feeling kind of
Yeah.
thing.
It's a weird feeling knowing that they just cut it off, but it kind of goes with the show, right? Do you guys remember how they just did the show like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. So Gap says, we've been ready for a good one. We had a couple good ones after 14, Gap, but I'll reserve my thoughts on this one as we go along. I quickly read through it. I wasn't impressed, but I read it. I've read it a couple times in the past, right? So, and I read it tonight, a couple hours ago, but I was kind of tired, took a little nap. But
Oh, it's amazing. I could read books in bed as a kid and just like pick up right from where I left off. Now, if I'm like reading and I fall asleep reading, it's like the last 5 pages that I just read, I have no memory of any of it that happened anymore.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And Gab has a good comment here because it's something that's a little odd to me. Maybe you guys can help me with this. They know it's the last issue, right? When
mhm.
people write letters in, they're at least 2 months behind to 3 months that we've determined when we read the bullpen, right? Battlestar bullpen.
They're that far behind when
They read
they
it.
get around to reading them and then picking out which ones go in the magazine. Yes.
Yeah. So the people who send the letters in don't get to read them until about 3. Most of the time, it's 3 issues. So this one says it's the last issue. So I'm wondering when they told people, because I don't know if we'll even read the letters because there's only a couple of them, and they just say, "Hey, what the hell?" We might get to it, right? We'll show it. Uh, they knew
Why
they
not?
knew it was the last issue because they put it on the cover. Do you think that was the right move? You should, or they should have. If they knew, they should tell people, right, and put it on the cover.
Well, what did you know and when did you know it? I feel like this is a congressional hearing, right? But
Right.
I
I mean,
think it was only fair that they put last issue on this cover. I don't
yeah,
think you telegraph more than one episode. We're always going to just say that one issue out. I don't think that you should let that out of the bag. Just as good business practice
yeah. I
because
mean,
some
if you put
people
it
will
out the issue
cash out early.
before, because this is a 3-parter, really. this is an end of a 3-parter, right?
Only
Death Parter.
only
Jolly.
because they had that 2-parter stuffed in right before that. So then this becomes a 3-parter, and then we don't get anything after this. Right. I think it's just the storyline continued on. The main storyline continued on. Um, but
Yeah,
it
I
is a
mean,
3-parter because, unfortunately, of how the series ended.
so yeah, this is all on Marvel. They didn't want to spend the money after this issue, although I would want to have looked up the sales. I guess I should have done a better job on some of these things, especially for this last one, but I didn't really think of it till about 10 minutes ago.
Mhm.
I'm looking at it, and that's why I have Gap's comment put up there. And thank you, Buddy and Gap, and whoever might be lurking here now, Phantom, Dadman, whoever might pop in, right? So the hairdo Gap is, if you go back on last week or 2 weeks ago, sorry,
Mhm.
not last week, Thanksgiving, but 2 weeks ago, that's Jolly. And he's undercover. And that's just part of his disguise. But we're going to talk about Jolly a lot tonight. So let's go on. You ready? Any other comments about this cover, or do you want to
I don't like it. I think
yeah,
it's
I don't like it.
weak for the
I don't like it
final.
either.
Somebody, Gap already remarked about the haircuts. I think this is lazy. I feel like
It's lazy as all get out, right? I almost said
it
it, but I'm
tells
not
us
monetized.
nothing.
It's crap.
Well,
If it's the last issue date, JT, why not go all out? Have all the characters on there as like a lineup.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like all the characters on the bridge. That's what I would like to have seen. So because really, I mean, the story they're going to continue on with this story and just end it. So they haven't really thought about trying to add anything different in there. So we'll get into
Right.
that. No, I don't like
And
the.
Buddy says it's a Harry Mudd crossover from Star Trek.
Oh,
Yeah, it almost
absolutely.
feels that way. There are not great sales numbers available for this that I would consider reliable enough to actually hold a conversation on um,
Yeah.
online out there. So that may be something that's lost to history or just obscure.
Um,
So don't feel bad
it would
about
have
it.
been interesting to see if we could have like gotten contact with Marvel. Do they go back that far? They probably don't. But I think they might have archived stuff like that. I don't know. Who knows? They probably burned it, trashed it. You know what I mean? Who cares? It's gone, right? It's been gone for
Yeah,
how many years? This is
right.
79, 80. What years that say? Can anybody see that? My eyes are a little jacked because I've been on the computer all day.
Which number?
1981.
Okay. I was going to say I can still blow it up large enough to read it on my screen here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
81. Just
so
barely the January issue. So it was
yeah,
made in 80.
I don't know if they can justify it because one of the letters really rags on how many people have been buying them and just was really pissed, really upset. I would have said, man, that's how I felt as a kid when the TV show got canceled for it just stopped it.
Now you
I wonder
could
if my
go and ask.
lighting, if you need my camera, dude, I'm sorry, it aggravates me. If I move an inch or two, sometimes it gets
Oh,
lighter or darker. I do
yeah, you
apologize.
have to turn off the auto gain or the auto lighting on that and set it yourself manually, which is tough. If lighting really does change, then you're not properly lit and
I would
all
turn
that
it
other
up on
fun
the
stuff. So
computer. There we go.
you
See
just
how
need a
it does
producer and a cameraman and all that for the show,
that.
right? Then
Yeah.
you're all set. You could ask somebody who's a former comic book store owner from this time period, and they may know. I think was it D. Bud Martin that owned a comic book shop at this
Yeah.
time?
D-Bud
Yeah.
and Gary. Gary would know, maybe.
Well, if you could get in a room with
I
Gary to
tell you,
ask.
probably Clobby could give
Oh
you
yeah, he definitely would
an
have known.
educated, he could probably give you an
Mhm.
educated guess, more educated than most people, right? But anyway, here we go, Gab. This is what's up. This is Jolly, man. And he's about 8 foot tall, right, JT?
Yeah, Yeah,
if
that's
you
right.
go back, if you go back to the last issue 2 weeks ago, and even I think it was that one, he was standing up in the hallway with he meets Medea of all people. If you remember her, everybody, that was Sire Yuri's sidekick girl. He's
Mhm.
undercover on this ship, and it tells you here that he was on a secret mission to catch people that were stealing food. So we're back to the food trope thing, but
Yes.
that's what was happening.
And he's out in
And
space in his space
yeah,
suit.
he runs away, putting his boots on after he already put them on. Remember that?
Right. Right.
And he's
Right.
about I would say he's at least 6'10", about 400 in that one picture, right?
Yeah.
He's an absolute,
Yeah.
he's Andre the
A
Giant
beast. Yeah.
compared to the girl or to the other characters. And you made the great comment of he's definitely not fitting in the Viper.
No, no. Oh no.
No,
Yeah.
he's a Hulk. Literally, he looked like Killer Croc or something compared to everybody. But anyway, we'll get to this one. So he's running away, or she's trying to help him. Medea is helping him escape. So he jumps out into space with nothing. And I was kind of right, I guess. Boomer, he goes, "Oh, there's Boomer's ship." So Boomer was coming to get him, right? So there you go. I mean, it's actually not a bad splash page for the comic itself. It's not a bad splash page.
I was going to say we're back to low res ships.
Yeah.
There's no detail on them whatsoever.
I don't think they give a crap, man. To be honest with you, we're going to see something here later. If I hope I don't miss it, that was just really bad, art wise, and just laziness. But they just stick to the story, so I'll give them that. They do make a weird comment about. I'm
Special
sorry.
footnote. Special footnote. There will be no footnotes in this issue. You have to go back and look everything up. Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, great, guys. Okay. And okay, yeah. If you bought all the comics, you already have. But anyway, so Boomer comes, picks him up in this. I guess he's in this big ship, and that looks like the would have been a Millennium Falcon type viewport area bubble. Is that's what that is, right?
Yeah, I don't like the ship design.
No, it's kind of big to be undercover type of thing. It should be just like a little shuttle to come pick him up, right?
Yeah, and it definitely feels like they tried to rip off the Falcon with that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But Boomer comes and gets him. And this ship is called
Falcon. That's what we'll call it.
They call it the Echo. It took me a while to catch on to that. What they kept calling about the Echo. That's the name of this ship. And Boomer's but this is kind of funny. Boomer's riding him out about Medea because he Jolly has Fifi's for Medea. Remember? Yeah. He went into cuck mode.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it, man. Screw it. It's the last issue. Yeah, he went into a little bit Fifi mode, and we're like, "Uh-oh, be careful, Jolly. You know, we don't know what her game is here." But there's a little good interaction. The writing's funny. You know, that's a good thing for the show and the comics. That at least the characters are still interacting in that kind of good, fun way. You know what I mean? They make fun of each other and stuff like that. So yeah, they're talking about the girl Medea, and Boomer's just kind of riding them out and telling them about the ship Echo, right? It's our best mobile listening pod. So I thought that maybe that Boomer was just in this little pod near this ship, but it's not. It really is that whole ship. So I guess he's referring to that pod in the ship. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't understand how this mini ship it's going to have less powerful detection gear than the Galactica, right?
Yeah,
all these other bigger
clock,
ships. I mean, that's just how technology works. So they've managed to not locate these pirate ships before, but this little one is going to do it now.
Yeah,
That's like saying your AWACS is going to just detect things right next to your supercarrier that the supercarrier can't see. No,
yeah,
that's not how that works.
and on top of that, it has, and we're not bagging, we're just telling. Well, I'm kind of bagging up, but
Mhm.
it's also AI navigated to move out of the way so fast that nothing will hit it, but it does it on its own. It's did you caught on to that?
Yeah.
But well, they tell you here. It's navigate through a series of vector interlocks. Okay, cool. We get some sci-fi stuff here, right? We couldn't even crash if we wanted to. So just leave the technical stuff to me, he tells Jolly. But so this little ship is kind of badass, right? Nothing can hit it. Why don't you put some freaking laser beams like you do on the sharks, and maybe that'll go out and take care of the Cylons then. If you can't shoot it down.
And they'll never be able to sneak up on you either in an ambush.
Yeah, you shoot at it, just moves out of the way.
Yeah.
So put a bunch of laser blasters on there, right? Because we know they can blow holes in the ships.
Send one
right?
of these bad boys out with every single Viper patrol
Yeah,
you have.
put 2 on the front, 2 on the sides, a couple on the back, and go out and destroy the whole Cylon fleet. But anyway, that's just us 50 years later. So
yeah.
Moving on. Meanwhile, we get a meanwhile. Yes. So we're going to try to, JT, if you can, pick up on all the little things that they've done. And we've said like the little meanwhiles, time and spacing, anything good, anything bad. Just let it rip as we go along. And then we can tie it up later because it won't matter. It's the end of the show. Go ahead.
All of a sudden, he's a detective here.
Yes, I was thinking saying Batman. He's Batman.
Yes. And he's just noticing, something's going on with the Rising Star. The rich people don't go there anymore. And they used to just basically live on the cruise ship. So what's going on?
Yeah, this is a carryover. This is a carryover from the last issue where they were down there with all the gambling people, or they were having a party or something, and somebody said something about, well, where's all the rich people at? And Apollo just like, ding, light bulb over the head, comic book style, cartoon style, and takes off running. Remember that? He just like takes off like a madman because he got an idea. And like you said, he's on Batman detective mode, and man, that's a hell of a console he's working on there. Is that the wall that we talked about a couple issues ago? But where's this place at?
I thought that was just kind of, well, I don't know if we're supposed to know.
No, it's just some kind of, he's just working on the computer.
It doesn't have any security on it, and Boxy's going to walk in at any moment.
Yeah, just on his own.
Yeah. Also, what I don't find believable already in this super sleuthing, how are all of the 50 richest people working together? I guarantee you they don't all share interests with each other.
No, especially when they're from the different colonies, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's
great point.
Yeah, it's been well established several times that the colonies sometimes they don't like the people from other colonies because one colony some stuck up a-holes, right? Or one colony might be not such a good place to be because they do bad things or whatever, or just have a bad rep, that kind of thing.
But it's like saying that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Bill Gates all like each other and all three of them are working together. No.
Like Zuckerberg, like Zuckerberg's trying to play nice now, and I'm like, no, you don't get a pass, buddy.
Yeah, that group of 4, they're not. We can always just bring it back to real life. Those 4 are not working together. I can guarantee you that.
No, and well, if
why would they do so in this scenario?
Yeah, it's it's a little odd because I think he said, what did he say? 48 out of the 50 were missing and nobody
47 out of the
noticed.
50 are missing. In the
And
last 2 or
nobody
3
knew.
are like working on supply lines.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a good little space shot of the Galactica out there in space, kind of just it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Um, the face work, goes from good to sometimes great to absolutely horrible at times.
Well,
Right?
the red one there, he's kind of looking like Mark Hamill almost.
Yeah, he totally looks like Mark Hamill, kind of right there.
It kind of got some influence there, yeah.
Yeah, and they're hung. So basically, Apollo's is talking about everything that Jolly and Boomer. Jolly has told Boomer about. They were stealing stuff through the regular openings instead of like a freight opening. I guess that seemed odd to Jolly. All kinds of stuff. You'll have to, like the footnote said, you'll have to go back, everyone, and watch my video with JT. With JT on it 2 weeks ago.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of the thing. So this Echo ship, and like Gap said, big ship, big man. It's not so big here. So I kind of like the fact that I had said that, but they give you a little bit of time and distance that we always complained about a lot in the earlier issues. And then every now and then they weren't good with it. And they did get better with it. So you see how small it is compared to the other ones, right? But it was pretty big for only 2 guys to be in a covert operation, right?
Yeah.
And apparently it's a badass little ship on top of everything else. So Jolly's kind of explaining things where they were on this. Jolly was on this Burnham ship. That's where he was from last time. And he keeps talking about how they were using the personal airlocks, like I had mentioned, instead of the freight ones. He keeps harping on that. So they were talking about JT. I got a little mixed up here. They were saying about how small the bad guy's ship had to be. Did you catch on to what they were really getting at?
They're basically saying that they're doing a similar tactic that like ants would do to bring food back to the nest, right? They would send a ton of small ants to go pick up one little piece at a time, which just seems horribly inefficient and would actually draw attention. But they're saying that they're wearing these heavy duty suits and they're pushing like something the size of a car around, if we want to think of it that way. I don't see why that would evade detection. I would think that you would be able to detect them quite readily, actually, doing that.
They tried to get around that by saying, well, actually, they kind of catch on to something here. But it would seem to me if that ship has the detection abilities, like you're saying, right, would have been top notch, except from the Battlestar, because the Battlestar can't see them. So they're thinking that they're hiding incognito somehow, but they still would be able to see the activity because they even say it.
And I have to remember that we have the ability to think about stealth and detection and things like this in #current year. But even back in the late 70s, it was commonly known that radar could pick up birds, small birds. So whatever detection technology that they're supposed to be using here, I just don't buy that they can't detect them. I'm trying to just suspend disbelief for a little bit, and I'm not buying it.
Yeah,
I'm just not buying it. Even if they were moving like behind a ship that's really close to the Galactica and there's a sensor shadow because that ship is blocking them, well, they have over 100 other ships, right? And all of them are going to have navigational radar or LiDAR, whatever sensor suite you want to have. They're going to have at least a basic one. They will be scanned and found. It's just because you're you're still the size of greater than that of a human being. You could be picked up. You will be picked up.
Yeah. So they get a little credit because they do mention here, and I'll go a little forward, that they're underneath one of the ships, but they catch on to these things here. They're like, oh, we thought they were drones, blah blah blah. But Boomer kind of figures out, it's like, well, this has to be that caravan you were just looking at a few minutes ago, apparently, right? This is all in the same time frame. These guys were unloading stuff off the Burnham, stealing the food, while Jolly was jumping out into space, right? This was all he was. It's a little weird on the time. I would have thought that these guys would have already been done with all their stuff by then, because he was running away from people in the meantime. But it's okay. It's that part, you can't look into that too much. But this ice ball thing, I don't.
Yeah, and you know what I'm going to say? I'm calling hanky panky on that too, because
Go
in the
ahead, man. Let
70s
it rip.
they had atmospheric and Doppler and weather radars that could detect rain clouds, and those rain clouds are not metallic; they're made out of water and ice. So
yeah,
this and you would
ice
want
balls.
to detect comets and asteroids and all sorts of space debris to avoid it as part of navigational sensors.
No, Gab asked if we had seen the reimagined Galactica 80. Is that new? Like within a new reissue of the 1981? I haven't seen it.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar unless that's something new. Like I know Nick Weiser and a couple of the guys have touted Flash Gordon, new Flash Gordon. They've liked that. Destro, some of the new Transformer stuff that's come out in the last year. I'm kind of interested in that Flash Gordon one. We'll see. So yeah, we're up to ice balls, everybody, and we're gonna figure it out. So he tells you right here, ice. It's a lousy ball of ice. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Boomer. So what?
And these guys don't practice any maneuver at all.
No, they're trying to do the in plain sight thing. We're gonna put these ice balls, and now we're gonna steal from the ships with nobody knowing, right? Nobody on the Burnham knew that they were stealing.
He just assumes that they headed straight from point A to point B with these things.
Well, they did know that people were stealing, so nobody's watching these. Jolly's the only one that catches them. So this Burnham ship has, what are we always saying? One of the tropes that we've been talking about here: no security.
Yep.
Right. So the Burnham ship that they've been stealing from apparently has enough people to run Jolly off, thinking that he was the bad guy. So they knew that they were stealing. They blamed Jolly because he got set up. Remember, he found the gas grenade canister. Do you remember that, everybody? He held on to it as evidence, but when they caught him, he was holding it. So he got caught and they ran him off. And that's when Medina and he jumped out. So, but up until that point, they never caught. There was nobody there fighting those guys. You know what I mean? All these guys are just stealing stuff and nobody said anything.
No course adjustments whatsoever.
No course adjustments.
Just, they're going, I can point you right to the ship they came from. Oh, isn't that nice and convenient?
Yeah, and imagine what ship it is. Can you take a wild guess which one it was going to be, JT?
The Justice.
Well, yeah. Well, but what's the originating ship that they're talking about?
The one on the edge of the fleet?
Yeah, it's the Rising Star. Remember that one?
Well, they're coming from the Justice.
Yeah. So that's Sire Yuri's ship, remember? But he's in jail. So, they'll bring it up too. So yeah, so they find this ship called the Justice. It's a weird looking ship. I don't know if these kind of ships would look like that. These are all scraggler type ships, but who knows, right? It looks weird, right?
I'm sure there's a whole league of individuals on that ship, the Justice.
Yeah.
I had to do it. Somebody had to do it.
So, right. Yeah. That's good, dude. So now Boomer's calling traffic control, which I thought about earlier because they keep dodging these ships. And I'm like, who's on traffic control? You know what I mean? Then they bring it up. So I'm like, yay, I got vilified again. I know, right, buddy? That's no moon. It's a ball. It should be from Spaceballs or something. But anyway. So Boomer's like calling it in, and he's trying to figure out. So this guy, I don't really get a good monitor shot here, but he's talking to traffic control, JT, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "What's up with the ship, right? This Justice." And the guy's checking on it, and he says, "There's a bunch of hard partying working class dudes, right?"
Yep.
And they're going to the Rising Stars. The Rising Stars taxi shuttles are always full of Justice boys going home after a blowout.
Yeah, give me a break. Give me a.
So, but didn't the Rising Star get busted by the Galactica fleet for the Sayuri thing that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
So apparently it's still going on, right? And Jolly goes, indeed. If you guys know my avatar, yes. David Lopan. And I feel like David Lopan, a quote from the movie, "You were not put on this world to get it," when reading some of these comics. If you remember that, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love that movie.
And they're like, well, it was Sayuri's ship, but he's in jail. Very astute. Very astute. Not.
And Jolly's like really, really reacting to the fact that they're breaking formation. Oh my God, they're breaking formation. Did they spot us? And another ship almost hits them. So I guess they put this in here to show that the ship actually dodges another one for some reason.
Yep.
Okay, get a little action in.
You can dodge a ship. You can dodge a ball.
You can dodge an ice ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, man. I didn't drink any coffee or alcohol. I'm drinking water, guys.
Yeah.
I just drink water to keep my mouth from getting too dry. But so Jolly asks him what happened, and Boomer already told him, "Hey man, I told you." Because that's what they wrote. I told you. We can't crash the Victor Vector. Interlocks clicked or whatever, and threw us out of the way. So they had to make a panel of that. So they scattered when that ship came through. So traffic control's not doing their job either, right?
Right.
At all, apparently. And we get a kind of a shot of the Galactica here. And at first I was like, okay. I mean, mediocre type stuff, right? We get our shovel head with this big empty space on the side. What is that? That's big square right there.
I don't know. Never seen that before.
It's like the whole section of the right side, starboard. Oh my God, I can't remember. It's just missing. I don't know if that's
right.
But did you notice something else really, really bad about this ship? And I am going to point it out to everybody.
The right side is the starboard side, by the way. It's port and starboard and left to right. Yeah.
Anyway, did you catch on to something that's just terrible?
There's no like body to the ship.
Well, look at the word Galactica on the side there.
Oh, they ran out of room. Yeah, they ran out of room when they were writing it.
Yeah. What? I mean, wow. What do you think about that, JT? They didn't even get to look at all the space. They put it.
It was
and rushed. Then just left it. That's the last issue. Leave that shit in there. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one thought to fix that.
No, I don't. Why? We're going to spend the money on it. I mean, but how lazy and bad is that? I don't. I just caught on. It's not even in red. It's supposed to be in red. But anyway. So they bring up
Galactica.
yeah, they bring up the fact that they are trying to find Earth. Everybody still trying to do that while everything else is going on because they finally made it out of the void. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't seen any tin pots lately, except that one issue. But they said something. We get a character. He's talking to Lathina. I don't know who Lathina is, but
Neither do
okay.
I.
They bring in a. We go back to this guy who's a total badass, but now he looks like he's been on smoking crack or something. Shadrach. Look at him. He's all emancipated. Emaciated. I know. Let's just say.
He's got a serious underbite too.
Yeah, I don't. So he's kind of a big dude, as we've seen in the past. He's kind of a badass guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he's definitely probably overworked. So I will give him credit on that because that's what they bring up. That he's been working on that. Remember that old pilot from World War II, World War One ship that he brought? Starbuck flew in all the way from Scavenge World. Remember that? That still had the rubber tires.
Right.
In
right.
space.
Right. They're scanning it for information.
They're still trying to get the hard drive out of it, basically. And he says the commander's own research has given us the information, but he just can't figure it out. Here comes Starbuck. Terrible art in the back there. I guess it's too small for them to do any detail for his face. Shadrach actually looks kind of rough, and if you can kind of appreciate that he actually is a little overworked.
Yeah. And then
But
Starbuck
we have
comes in and he's like, well, did you just try holding it up and seeing where it fits? And he's like, boy, you've done it. Quickly, Lathina, bring me up a picture of the galaxy, and I'm just going to hold this up a bunch of different ways until something makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you weren't doing that already? Okay.
So, yeah, Starbuck walks in just to check in on everybody. Cool. I like that. I like to see that. And he's like, so what's up with that? Goes into the big thing, Ninth Lord of Cobalt. And we get the revelation, JT. So Starbuck goes, oh, well, that looks like a course plot to me. And Shadrach just loses it. It's like, what? Yeah. Oh my God. Right?
Genius.
Oh, dude.
Yep.
Gee, oh my
Geniuses,
God,
everybody.
You've saved the day, Starbuck. I think I can figure it out now. That must be the actual way they found the pulsars, because the pulsars, there was, if you go back a couple of issues where Adama was laying in bed trying to figure out all this data, that he found a bunch of them, 50 or 60, 100 of them. I can't remember, JT, if you can remember. But he had no idea which one to follow.
Right.
He's like, what do I do? Just pick one. Back in the day when he was almost trying to give up. But we get this another. I mean, they have some really groovy, stylish ships for just kind of ragtag fleet.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, wow. Some really stylish stuff. I mean, this ship
is that really
like
the Rising Star? That's not how I remember it being drawn.
I don't remember it looking like this at all.
Right. But okay.
You?
Well,
wasn't it
no,
like a? I don't remember. Maybe if anybody else could remember, tell us we're wrong. Yeah. Anyway, so they're heading over there to figure out. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I'm laughing already because I was laughing earlier and talking to myself while I was reading this before. What do you think we'll find here there, Jolly? So, sorry, that's why I drink the water. Jolly and Boomer are back on the Rising Star. And
it's a big ship, right? It's a pretty big
ship.
Where do you think we should start? Oh, how about at the top? They used to have a private club there.
Makes sense, right? I mean,
Well,
it's
yeah.
and there's nobody walking around, right? No security.
Yeah.
So, but he does mention, because we were talking about the different colonies and stuff, right? So it's either Boomer. I think it's Boomer, because Boomer's a smart guy. I always like Boomer in the show and in the comics. They did him right. Remember he got promoted to lieutenant, right? But nobody knew.
Yep.
Because they bring it up here again, and I started to get a little mad about that because they didn't give him a promotion ceremony. It's kind of like Chewbacca getting screwed over in Star Wars,
With
right?
the medal.
With the medal. Damn right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was just wow. That was bad, right? Because I mean, Chewie's like a good dude, right? He's just
I just like to think they only had a limited number of medals available, and
yeah, so screw the Wookiee.
Yeah. Now,
he brings up Leo.
This private club. What the heck is going on inside this private club?
Well,
what is this purple thing?
Drapes?
I have no idea what they're trying to draw here. I think
the roofing.
Hopefully, I'm not stupid. I'd like to think I'm not.
You're not.
What is? Okay, like what is that?
Yeah,
poorly drawn. If you can't communicate what it is we're looking at,
right? It's like it looks deserted, but you've got this huge purple stuff hanging down everywhere.
It's
weird. Let me check on something.
Oh, and it's not deserted. Wrong again.
Yeah, and yeah, so you've got Apollo just lurking in the dark, which is kind of cool because I guess he was trying to catch somebody, but he doesn't tell anybody. He doesn't even tell Boomer he's going over there. Like Boomer doesn't know, Starbuck doesn't. Nobody knows. Come on, that would not have happened. There's no way Apollo was going to go over there knowing that Jolly and them are on this mission and him not tell them, right?
Well, because of his research. His research puts him here.
Yeah. And he doesn't tell anybody. He goes over there by himself, so nobody knows he's over there. That doesn't work. If these guys are undercover, he knows that. He helped put them undercover, or he found out about it.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that Jolly had been over there already before with all the other stuff going on. He would have told them, hey, meet me over there, guys. Oh, yeah, that's where we're going. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just me. Apollo's smart.
And no one noticed that they cleaned out this entire club. Really?
Right.
How big are the hallways in this ship?
Wow, look at the size of this club now. Yeah, the Rising Star is huge.
Huge.
Yeah, but he says it would just get all matted into his hair. That's why he never took the bandolier off. Han would have to get out the clippers. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you. And remember, Jolly's hairpiece is actually a microphone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? He can talk. Remember when he was in jail?
Yep.
He was talking to them. So for anybody who didn't catch it 2 weeks ago, that's actually a microphone in his hair, his top knot. So they brought up Leo before, and so here's where, yeah, you're right, JT, the research. So Apollo tells them a little research seems like the very rich have been quietly disappearing recently. But I'll tell you one thing, how the joint shouldn't be empty. The door was sealed. Who cares? I mean, were you guarding the door? Where's the security? So why are you complaining now, Apollo? You know what I mean? What are you complaining for? With nobody there to protect it. You guys are getting all your ships robbed of food. Worried about that. So,
I wonder where I'd hide if I had all those qubits and only 200 ships to choose from. Well, here's my problem with
200
that.
Ships, and one's
you
the
only have 200 ships. And if you have 50 wealthy people, that's what, 4 a ship? And there's none on this ship. They're not on the Galactica, right? How many of these ships are you going to figure out that now they need more food. Now they're consuming more resources. Like, it should be easier than this to just discern that population has shifted to these other places.
Yeah, there would have been a lot more tighter control for ships, considering they had some missing. Remember, disappeared. They lost one of their big ships that they needed, a food ship. Remember that one, the scavenger world. Their security is not good. It's never been good. They don't even keep up with their ships. And you would think with the last vestige of humanity that they would be really, really monitoring. There would be like a whole detail of people that their only job on the Battlestar Galactica is to maintain where each ship is at every moment, like a 24-hour detail, right?
Yep.
Adama would have done that in real life. There's no way that he would not have done that. So yeah, you're spot on as always. Yay! You've always spot on with this kind of stuff. You're so good with it.
Well, thank you. I'd like to think I learned from the best, from Clobby.
Yeah. But Clobby, and after a few issues, you don't even have to be a genius. Just follow along with what they do.
Yeah.
And what they don't do. What they don't do is even more important, and you just stick with it and see where they go. I mean, you do have to read it to catch on to a lot of the things that they are good at and what they're not good at. And then, Apollo just takes off again.
I do like the lady here in this bottom right.
Right. Yeah. She's got a nice Aztec headdress, right?
Yes. Yes. Anyway, so Boomer's back on their spy pod. And he's like, oh, good old Jolly. I hate saying good old Jolly. It sounds like I'm saying jolly old something. Anyway. He left the scanners on. Oh, wouldn't you know it? We're seeing the same interference we did before.
Why would he?
What do you think of Boomer's face there?
It's misplaced. What? Because it looks like he's laughing at, like, oh my god, he's looking at a good meme on Twitter.
That's what I was thinking.
Did you see that meme with the guy dancing? The Elon.
Oh yeah. I thought he was looking at that meme and laughing, where it's the guy walking with his girlfriend, and then some other woman's walking the other way, and he turns around to look. That's the meme I thought he was looking.
Well, and they missed a frack here and a Felder card. We haven't got those in a while, have we? I mean, this is the last issue, guys, and we're not getting a lot of classic Galactica here. It's going to be the downfall of this issue, as you can tell already from me. You don't say "holy cow" on the last. You say "holy frack." What the
Boomer
Felder
has
card?
some significant conjunctivitis in his right eye.
Yeah. Usually they don't do bad with close-ups when they want to, but and Jolly had some really good facial expressions 2 issues ago, right? I remember I called it out and said it was great, really good, but this is misplaced.
It really is.
Could have worked great in some other parts of the comics, but
they could have put it up there when he was razzing on Jolly.
Yeah, hey, how's my deal? But did you
Yeah.
Nice, JT. Nice. Good call.
Anyway.
No, that's good, dude. That's excellent. Oh, dude. Yeah.
So
that face. Wow.
Just to keep moving on from that.
Yeah, let's get back to the ice balls. That's what the audience wants.
Yeah.
I think our listeners want more ice balls.
The balls from underneath the rising star.
Well, yeah, he's flipping out because they're right underneath the ship that they're on.
Mm-hmm.
But so moments later, Boomer jumped onto that's how quickly if you follow these comics, you remember how fast they move from place to place. It's like they're like the guy from the X-Men character. What's his name? Who can teleport? I can see him, but I can't think of his name. Help me out, chat. Who's the X-Men character that can
I'm
teleport?
going to strike out thinking of that name too.
He's got the devil tail.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Oh, it's going to drive me mad. I'm going to leave it up to the chat. You guys, where's my Marvel people at? X-Men people at? Sorry.
So they're like, great work, Boomer. We're going to have Blue Squad sent over from the Galactica to move in on the fuel port. So, yeah, I guess they're just saying like they're stashing it and slowly moving it. I don't know how you would think that necessarily.
Well, 3 guys to each ball so that they can.
Somebody's going to clip that when you're famous one day, Dave.
Nightcrawler. Yes, Gap After Dark got it.
Thank you.
Nightcrawler.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You get a good thank you in the chat. So yeah, it takes three people to move each ball. And like you said, they're going to send over a whole Viper squadron. Cool. That's good. Cool. All right. Then we get some really bad art here. Come on, Jolly. Let's scout out the terrain. And look how massive this ship is. From this, we saw how big the casino hall was, right? The party hall.
Right.
Look at the size of this ship, man. So I guess they do a good.
I'm just going to ask questions here.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for any answers. This second pane.
Sorry. Let me cut you off. Buddy Hepburn did say Nightcrawler, and I missed it. My bad, buddy. Sorry, man. So he did put Nightcrawler in the.
Yeah, they both got it.
Sorry, I missed that, dude. My bad.
So this second cell here, I'm just going to start asking questions, rhetorical questions, the one with the question mark in it.
Well, yeah.
You have somebody dressed in blue. The face, is that a man's face? And what does it usually mean when you have bright blue hair like that? I'm just starting to wonder what kind of.
So this is where it all started. Battlestar Galactica, you're at fault.
It's a very 2020s character they drew there.
Yeah. And look how big Jolly is. Is he not 6'10"? He's 2 feet.
Gotta be.
He's 2 feet, clearly 2 feet to the neck, to the top. Well, if you take away his man bun, 1.5 feet. So he's 6'10", right? I'm 5'10". He's clearly almost 7 feet plus.
He looks like those pictures of Yao Ming when he's walking in China.
Yeah.
He's just so much
insane.
taller than everybody else.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous the way they drew him like this. And remember this old ragamuffin dude in the front? Do you remember that guy?
I'm trying to remember where we saw him.
See, remember that this comic told us we're not going to put you footnotes in, so we'll have to do it for you, everybody, because they got lazy and they knew it was the last issue. I am 7'9" Gap. I was lying. So yeah, this character is from the last issue. Good thing on the Star. So he makes this weird comment. Good thing we're on the Star. Nobody will look at us twice in this crowd, except when you're 8 foot tall and weigh 450 pounds.
Right.
And you were already
with crazy hair.
Yeah. But you kind of wonder why the other dude is here, right? So they did. I like that. Like, what's he doing on the Rising Star? And he's catching on the Jolly. What are you doing on the Rising Star? And they're making comments about how big you watch your head and all this kind of stuff to go in the tunnel. So these are all the fuel tank area. And apparently anybody can just walk into these areas, like you said, JT,
Yep.
right? Just
Yep.
walk anywhere you want. Nobody there to stop you. We got all the fuel cells to the whole ship and the star drive, and not one security person guarding it.
Yes. Yes.
Oh gosh. Yeah, Gab,
So
I was 3 inches when I had my Pro back in the day. It was way better back in the 70s.
So, this is kind of a cool little visual that
Yeah,
you
it
see
is.
here. How hard would it be to gimmick the indicator to read full on an empty tank? Well, he's got a good point. Although you'd have to fake it up on the bridge too, right?
Yeah,
Not impossible to do, I suppose.
it's an outside fuel thing that actually has fuel in it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I won't knock
We try
that.
to contact, never mind. And it says it's full. Now this looks like a sphere, but yet they have this platform like a dock inside a fuel tank.
Yeah, I guess what, you go diving into it so you can go swimming? I don't know, dude. I don't know what they do in these things.
Because every gas tank on a ship,
But now look how big. Okay, look how big this tank is. Just this one. I'm gonna scroll back up. Look at all the tanks. 2A, 3A, 4A.
well, they couldn't be. That's impossible for them to be that close together.
Well,
based on
there
the
you
shape
go.
of this thing.
So the credit that we were trying to give them for spacing flies out the window, because doesn't 2A kind of mean that there's a B or in C?
Well, 2A, 3A, 4A.
Why would
So
you
I
need
think
A?
that's tank 2 on the A side of the
Yeah.
ship, or A level of the ship, and then there's another level or side.
Yeah, and they went all the
Right.
way down to 7. So there's at least 7 of these. And
Chat's
this
giving us a
looks
hard
like
time to just go with it.
Yeah, I know, but it's the last issue, so you're just trying to figure out why you would put a diving
And is
board.
is that in an inflatable like Delta Ops raft right there?
Yeah, but they do explain it. They do explain why it's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And boom, it's a secret dive hole. And it says thud and the weird characters there. Yeah, so it's a massive walkway, but underneath it is a tunnel. And they fall through it because there's nobody there to keep them from getting inside, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But immediately they get caught. So there's a whole underground thing under this tanker. Which I'm like, okay, cool. That's some James Bond type stuff there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're definitely going with it, Gab. I was just kind of setting you guys up a little bit here. Yeah. So
Now keep in mind, we're on page 16 of 30.
Oof.
So we're hoping last issue they're going to resolve this food plot and get to Earth. And we've only got 14 pages left to do it in.
14 pages left. Right.
Like I'm sitting there with my leg bouncing, like getting anxious. Like, okay, when are you guys going to get there? When am I going to get the end of this?
Yeah, dude. So we go into an underground chamber that's underneath the oil tank, which is pretty cool. Like I said, James Bond Moonraker type stuff. But now this underneath all of that looks like a whole nother planet. It's massive. The rising star has to be how big at this point? Bigger than the Galactica.
Yeah.
This looks like a whole new planet, dude. And look how opulent it is, because it is the richest people there, right?
Yeah.
So we do meet a new character, but we don't know who this person is, because I can't tell if it's a dude or a lady. Did she say her? Magna Kochnik. Magna Kochnik. And she is like running the place. Obviously, she's in charge. And she said, "We thought it was pretty clever ruse too." And he goes, "Oh, it wasn't half bad. Bored millionaires tour fleet." Or something like that. They slip away from the tour. So JT, they go on a tour, they leave the tour, nobody knows, and then they just disappear and nobody says that they're gone. That's the premise, right? Okay, just want to make sure, because that's what they sold us. They're on a tour, and then they vanish without a trace. She doesn't care what he's saying because she's a meanie. She's a baddie. But outside, they're defrosting the ice balls, right?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, they're melting them in space.
Hey, Archibald Bunker, welcome. I haven't seen you here before, but thanks for coming in.
They're melting off whatever ice particles were there, which you would think it would take a lot of water to encase these things in ice. So wouldn't you want to keep that? And wouldn't this be really ineffective to heat outer space like this to melt the ice? Okay, it's just a comic book. I know.
I know it's the last issue, but one of the things that you and I have talked about that's not so great is their continuity with certain things. So what I don't understand, and maybe everybody can help me, is that they're defrosting these ice balls over here, or they're transporting them over, right? To on the left panel. But it says, I presume when you're through with the ice ball, because this is Apollo talking to Magna,
right?
They're simply jettisoned into the rising stars to exhaust to get rid of the ice balls. But how did you get the stuff that's already in them? If you,
I think there's an interior, like a glass interior or something like that. You know, like that perfect sphere is encased, and then they put ice around it, so you're not actually freezing the items inside of it with ice or encasing it.
I was just looking at
all around in ice. They just do the sphere.
I was just looking at the art here on the left because it's got the 3 barrels, oil barrels in there, the food barrels in it. But anyway, I was just confused because it says you'll have a chance to see their disposal from the inside. That's Magna threatening Apollo. She has a gun to his head. Jolly, his 10-foot self, is standing right there. Could just like punch her or something. I don't know. Right.
What's curious is they have an injection molding process to create these.
Yeah.
Like they've got some industrial molding process. Yeah. If you scroll back up a little bit to the cell with the
that's right.
The engines. Yeah, right there.
Okay, you're right. You are correct. All right. That's pretty fancy, man.
It is. Very like a James Bond villain way.
Very James Bond stuff. So this lady here is she's a baddie, right? She's got a blaster to Apollo's head. And just like in James Bond or any of these kind of tropes, she explains the whole operations to him instead of just taking care of them, right?
Right.
Because we have to know what's going on too. But instead of just getting rid of them, she explains everything that they do. Like they're never going to get away. It's hilarious. But it's great, right? So they're stacking these food barrels pretty high. And you touched on something. That's why you're so good at this. It's look how much food is there. Didn't you bring that up earlier? That is a lot of food, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that all the stuff from that planet? That goo they made?
I don't know. I don't think they ever tell us exactly what.
They never tell us that.
All of that food is.
In this comic, they would have had a footnote box, but JT and I are your footnote boxes because they told us we're not doing that. We're it's last issue. We're not going to bother with it. So yeah, they were running out of food a couple of issues ago, and they had to go back on the planet with the 8 men, the doctor, that was on. He changed into the 8-man, and they figured out a way to make food from the fruit, but then they left everybody else, the 8-man, on there and didn't try to help him.
The cheesy thing here that I don't think works, you know, he says, well, we'll be missed, you know. And then she just says, well, not until after duplicates of the two of you are seen by reliable witnesses in some far part of the fleet.
Yeah, now we're into Dark Man territory.
I'm
Big
like,
faces.
that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
No.
You have another 6 foot, 15-inch dude with that kind of like, no.
Right. And then ta-da! Look who's there, JT. Hiding. He's in subterfuge. He's undercover too. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
How did he get over there?
The plot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're right. You're totally correct. Well, it's sci-fi. You're right, Cap. This issue is totally just move on with it. I mean, you couldn't be more correct, because we could spend 3 days nitpicking this stuff, man. But it's not our fault, right, JT?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we give them credit when credit's due. But Starbucks sitting there with the biggest cigar that looks like the doobie from Snoop Dogg or something. That's a huge dude. But he's undercover with the bad guys the whole time, or he sneaks over and shoots the gun out of her hand. And we've seen this before, haven't we? Shooting guns out of people's hands directly right at them.
Yes.
But anyway, sci-fi.
He had time to get his cigar going too.
Yeah. He's already smoking his cigar, shooting it while he's smoking. What's Starbuck? I love Starbuck. Come on. He's the best. He's the best ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could beat you take a nap and still beat you to the draw, lady. She pulls you think you're pretty smart, don't you?
Yeah. This proton disruptor. What the
frack? She's got a
where did this come from?
Massive. Look how big it is, because there's the guy sitting in it who's
up in the chair. Yeah.
So look how big this is compared to a guy.
And it's inside the ship.
It's inside the ship. Come on, man. Bro,
like
I'm glad this is only one issue, because we would not have been able to do 2 issues tonight. Would have been a 1 issue night. I can promise you that. If we'd had more, this would have only been a 1 issue.
And I'm already sitting here going like, you see that and you're just thinking to yourself, okay, what are they trying to mess with the reader at this point? Are they just trying to mess with us?
Well, we'll go back to the numerous times that we said they didn't draw it for us to make reviews for it 40 years later. But
I know, but I'm almost like, are they trying to troll you a little bit here?
A lot of adults read this comic book, right? In fact, several weeks ago, the one comic book was so creepy, we decided that it wasn't made for 10-year-olds or even young teenagers, because it was so creepy. Then they kind of changed it back to not being so creepy. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
A lot going on in one of the issues that was like, this is not meant for kids. And that particular one was not. But this is just kind of too much, because that thing could blow. I mean, that should be on the deck of the Galactica like a battleship with a cannon, right?
Yes.
Right next to the blaster.
Out inside. Yeah.
I'm going to burn you to ashes, my pretty. And then it gets even crazier, dude.
Let's not and say we did. I love that.
Oh my God. Look at Jolly, dude. Everybody, come on. Crash. You're right, Gap. Come on, man.
Crash.
Oh,
clean living, my boy. You ought to try it. What?
Jolly just pulled out a Justice League. You're right, dude. Pick any superhero. Batman couldn't even do this. That is a
oh no
25, 30-foot metal proton disruptor, and Jolly puts I don't know,
A nice
Superman
kick.
kick into it.
A
Oh,
nice
it's
kick.
great
But
form. Look at the form.
you're probably just going to shatter your femur or something trying to kick in something metal
Yeah,
like that.
he would have broke his leg and nothing would have happened to the disruptor. Absolutely. First of all, wouldn't that be dangerous to everybody standing there that this disruptor ray just got exploded?
And yeah, a crash is what you get after you hang out with some socialators.
Yes, from Leo or Virgo.
Yeah.
Boing, boing, boing. It's Archibald. It's craziness. So
And then,
go ahead.
these people just suddenly get old. Like, what is going on with these faces? What's to quote Mr. Plunkett? What's wrong with your face?
They have melting face, and apparently they all live down here in Florida, have concealed weapons license.
Well, they've all been out in the sun for like decades and smoked 2 packs a day.
Yeah, and then I guess that nobody thought to at least fire back or shoot, so they all just quit. Oh boy!
Whoa! And then, okay, we remember what she appears like
before
higher up.
She's not this
but
big,
when she starts running, her head shrinks in proportion to her body.
Yeah. And she calls them cowardly scum. Nice. You're gonna not take me down. You're not getting me so easy. And Starbuck
but her
blaster.
Her head is too small.
It's way too small, dude. I told you I was laughing
This is
this
at the
earlier
point where
today.
I'm like, were they trolling the readers at this point?
They don't care. It's the last issue, bro.
Like I remember you said in what 5 or 6 issues ago, were they just sitting all around drinking, saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that."
But they were making jokes while they were writing. Remember how they said they were going back? It was like two buddies sitting there, high five. Yeah, man, we're gonna drink some whiskey, smoke some and we're just gonna write whatever the hell we want.
Right.
And they did, and it was funny. I don't remember which one it was. It was a couple issues ago, but it was funny because I think that's the one I gave an A- because of the comedy, but I wanted, the rest of it wasn't all that great. The writing, it was just like you said, a couple dudes sitting there with no supervision. But they came up with some good humor.
Not the candy bar.
No,
or the ice
candy
cream
bar.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good issue, man. I can't remember the number. Because so Starbuck shoots her.
It's only a stun blast.
Yeah, but
it's not that, Lieutenant. She's still holding a thermal Oh wait, she's holding a control pin.
She's like, oh my god.
Click. And then a signal flashes.
But no more comments on the whole Jolly thing. Oh my. Anyway, sorry.
Well,
I'm stuck. We'll save it for the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, instantly a signal flashes from the star to the edge of the fleet. We're aboard the Justice. We get some yellow art. Remember that yellow guy long time ago with the flame torch?
They have one of those yellow warning lights spinning around the bridge, right? Like that's the only light in the room. And he says red alert, even though it's a yellow room now.
Yeah.
You know what they're going for here. I actually like these two panes here. I do like them.
It's got an old school flavor to it, right?
It also feels like Star Trek a little bit, which is probably why I like it.
Yeah, the auga though is like a submarine dive. Auga, auga. It's dive. Hold on.
Mhm.
It cracked me up. Like the art here on this Blam
Blam.
one, this guy in the bottom left reminded me of some Johnny Quest type stuff.
And
But,
then a captain that was the Star Drive.
yeah.
Now, this is a unique angle of the Galactica, but again, it doesn't look like any piece of the Galactica we've ever seen before.
It looks like a skeleton.
And
Like
now they've got like some weird claw
yeah.
off the starboard shuttle, or the bay, the landing deck there.
Archibald said this is back in the day when weed was shitty. That's great. And
Now,
welcome to the show.
Before we go too far on this, okay, their plan was to have the rich people, I guess, that weren't on the Rising Star, that were on the Justice, to just get out of there.
No, these are the bad guys on the Justice trying to get away before they get caught.
I see.
Everybody else is still on the Rising Star. So these are those minor
the rich
guys,
people
the
are on
party
the Rising
guys.
Star. These are just the grunts.
These are the grunts who are trying to escape, but the Battlestar Galactica blew out their star drive.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With some precision pinpoint shooting, which is pretty good.
That we've never seen before. No.
Yeah. I get what they're doing here. This would have looked good where you're like, oh my God, we're getting ready to get away. And it's like, oh crap, we're done.
Like some kind of Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Like a landing
like
bay,
a big
Star Destroyer. That would have looked cool. And they have the Star music. Anyway.
So yeah, to answer your question, really. So aboard the Rising Star, this is the party crowd that Jolly's talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see they're all giving up their hands here. I guess those are some of the bad guys. But they're not really interacting with any of these millionaire people. Like, where are they? I guess these are all of them and a bunch of their friends, right?
So.
Yeah.
Yes, so.
To try to answer what you were saying. Yeah, they're all in the Rising Star. So so Jolly recognizes that old guy we saw a few panels back. And look who it is. It's his ex-roommate from the Burnham.
Oh, yeah.
The guy that ratted on him. Remember? Now you remember that? That was his roomie with the picture. The lady's picture that the people wanted to steal. And Jolly knocked him out to help him out. And then he turned around and backstabbed him and ratted on him to everybody, right? Because nobody knew that the food was being stolen. They only went after Jolly. They knew it was being stolen, but nobody just opened the other door and look in there and see him doing it. But they chased him off the ship, remember?
Now, Poppy's not this guy's actual name, which confused me. Because I saw that at first, and then, of course, the next, you keep reading and you get it figured out. But I sat there for a minute reading the first time, like, Pop, wait, his dad is, his father is there? Come on. Like, what's going on? And then you see in the next one, you're right. It's the guy that was like, don't touch any of my stuff. I'm on to you guys.
Kind of playing the hobo type character, right? And all he had left was just this picture of his wife, but little to find out, he's this Magna lady's husband.
Yes,
and
Sire,
dun, dun, dun.
Sire Kolchnik.
Yeah,
I think that's how you say it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so apparently he's from the same colony that Sire Yuri is from, because now we get that Sire Yuri is not really Sire, is not his first name. Did you know that? Did you catch on to that?
It's a title. It's a title. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't know that until just now. I didn't catch on to that at all. Sire, I thought just Sire or whatever. I thought that was his first name. And Apollo brought up this hologram stuff like twice. We've never, I guess, because Apollo was doing his Batman detective work he knew who this guy was too. So it's pretty good detective work on his part, right?
Right.
Pretty thorough.
And then that is just the end of that story.
Yeah.
That
And
is
Apollo
the
sticks
end of that story,
blaster.
folks.
That's it.
So hope there was nothing to tie up with that storyline anymore, because that's
We've
the
only
end.
got 8 pages left.
Mm-hmm.
So they busted up the pirate smuggling ring. And then it says, time passes and the great fleet lies quietly listening to the voice of its commander. So he's doing a broadcast. He's doing a YouTube pod show. All right.
Yes. He's doing a news. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like this. I like that he's reaching out to everybody in the fleet. My fellow colonials, this is the full report on the capture of the raiders. So he's giving like a news report, and then also doing the his announcement that Master Tech Shadrach, he doesn't give any credit to Starbuck here. I was like, damn it, you should have said this with Starbucks.
Well, it is propaganda. He is on Fleet CNN. So
yeah. And he needs to do this because as they allude to either before or after this, he's kind of he's feeling the heat again, right? They don't trust him, blah, 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 because they don't really tell you how many eons have passed, because not eons, sorry, that would have been way too much. But remember, they changed the time a couple issues ago to our time instead of parsecs and stuff like that.
Right. They
could have said, a year later, traveling, they're still traveling, but they don't. They don't do it. He does explain that Shadrach figured out that they know the way.
So
but do JT, they? Are you going to get your wish?
They do.
But do they?
So scroll up a little bit, because
I know what you're going to say.
This didn't make any sense to me. Okay. It says the Great Circle represents the great magnetic void wherein lies Kobol itself, which is the planet they went to, right? The raid paths that fly outward show the bearings of the distances of the pulsars that guided the great Kobolian migration. Mm-hmm. But those pulsars are guiding you to Kobol. They're not guiding you to Earth.
Right.
So what does this do for you?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now really you have 8 choices here? Do you see the 8 rays?
Yeah, but
is that what they're going with?
Supposed to be 9, by the way. I thought, right? Maybe there's only supposed
to
be 8.
Doesn't matter. The center one is 9. The center one is 9.
I guess.
Ninth Lord of Kobol.
Yeah, but this map tells you how to get to Kobol. It doesn't tell you how to get to Earth.
I know, dude. The sci-fi, and if anybody had thought we've been bad, I can tell you there's some purists out there that would have a lot of problems with the stuff that they do, right? We're actually very nice.
so I'm like, okay, so that's useless information for you. But together with the knowledge he found inside the memory machine.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. He did. If you look at that thing, this is why I give you compliments all the time. I was going to make a comment on this, and I'm glad you said it. But could you say they've at least lowered the number of pulsars to follow down to 8 from the how many that he was trying to figure out from before?
Yeah.
Right?
But still, where is that going to point you to?
I don't know.
So, Earth is far distant, even beyond our own galaxy, yet we will find it. Okay.
So, yeah, and the Galactica has been programmed to. So we're just going to go straight to Earth now. That's what they're doing. So are they going to solve this now, JT? Are you going to get your wish? Well,
maybe.
We'll find out.
But the fact that it's beyond their galaxy, okay, yeah. Whatever.
Well, they certainly have some food for a while, right?
Yeah. How fast does this ship go when they engage the star drive? Anyway, the council's decided to return the pirates to their own ship, the Justice. Its star drive is useless, and they will remain behind.
Wow, that's
kind of cold.
That is cold, dude. Yeah, you
Maybe they
pointed
need
that
some
out as well.
prison gang workers on Earth
Uh,
if they got to build stuff. Maybe.
no, yeah. So you're going to take a bunch of hardworking dudes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And women, whoever's there, and strand them in space without a star drive on a ship that's damaged. That's I just don't see Adama doing that. Do you?
No, no, I don't see the council going along with that either.
Because
The Leo councilman would have at least
no.
said, we're not doing that.
So what did they do? I'll say it kind of, you know what, if they did that for those guys, then what did they do to Magna? Yeah. See what I'm saying? I won't say it, but screw it. I mean, they nixed her, right? They would have. If that's what they did to those guys, what they would have done to the leader, they would have, right?
Yeah.
Kablammed her. Kapow,
Yeah.
wow. Or no, you know what? They would have done, if you can survive a drop kick judo side survive kick from Jolly, you're good. That's your punishment. If you can survive that kick. Yeah, I don't see Adama would not have done this, and there's plenty of space to build jail cells out of, right? Look how big the freaking Rising Star is. It's massive.
But
massive, massive.
Is that Supergirl in the foreground?
Yeah, Supergirl and some very, very bad mouth work here. Oh, I shouldn't have said it that way. The face here is not good in the mouth region. Put it that way. Bad mouth. Boy, there's going to be some clips on this show. Boy. Woo.
Okay, so we're getting there. We're almost done. We have 6 pages left.
Yeah.
Shortly
there
after
must be about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's got to be 1,000 people in this arena, at least.
Yeah.
How many people do you think they have left, JT?
50, they don't.
200 ships. 200 ships.
As much as the plot needs us to have.
Oh no, I'm just saying in general. I was just guessing. Just talking Battlestar Galactica, not ragging on the comic. How many people do you think are probably left with 200 ships?
100,000? I don't know. It's hard to say how, what the size of these ships are and how.
Yeah, because some of them are not the size of Rising Star, right?
Yes.
They're just shuttles. Well, because remember Shadrock, I call him Shadrock, had to go back, everybody. He had to go back and fit Star Drive on these and had to abandon some of them because they couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was tough days.
So 100,000 is probably too high of a number, but in any event, you have
one wish.
You have Boy Genius.
Yes,
if we get off school, every time we jump into hyperspace, I'm going to like traveling. Don't get your hopes up, Boxy. I think this is a one-time deal. Rats.
Yep. Your favorite character.
So they're going to. Does that mean they're going to jump in one jump all the way to Earth beyond their galaxy?
Sounds
would seem implausible.
Like it. Yeah, or she doesn't know her sci-fi. All right. Even though is that Athena? No, that's not Athena. That's that's Athena. It has to be Athena. Yeah, he says Athena.
Mm-hmm. Then we get a new Moffat.
Well, you got to remember, Boxy's superhuman, right? So, he could probably just grab the whole fleet and fly them there outside in space.
I mean, dude glows in the dark. He could just probably hold two sides of a ship and charge it with all the radiation he's consumed.
Yeah, we're almost done, Gap. Yeah, because issue 14, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Surprise.
we get a lineup, but it's for Boxy and Muffy because way back in the day, Mark D called it. You got to have this stuff for the kids. He called it way back, like issue 1, issue 2.
Yep.
Remember that? And he was right. They stuck it in here at the end.
They don't know if they're actually jumping to Earth.
No.
It's a going away party. We thought since we were going away, we ought to have a party. Is this like his Make-A-Wish because he's so irradiated, his skin's about to fall off? I mean, I don't know. And then he
Apollo,
says the most unlikely line for a kid. But who's minding the store?
it makes no sense, man.
Anyway.
Hey, Phantom Outsider, you made it. Because yes, Gap, we are almost done, man. We are almost done. Shorter than the 2 issues so far than we normally would. But hail to Phantom Outsider for popping in. Good to see you. And did you notice? So Apollo makes fun of his hair too, right?
Mhm.
He hasn't taken it off, even though he's wearing his normal uniform. I guess he likes it.
Right.
He's just gonna keep it.
Right.
Oh, I guess that's his new style, dude. Yeah, he's just walking around with it. I mean, like he goes back to get the girl for Jolly. Yeah. All right, man.
Yep. So he gets the girl.
Yeah, who was, remember, for everybody was Sire Yuri's hench lady. Well, not hench lady, hang around lady. We'll just call her that. We'll just
But she's
keep
still
it
a
at that.
married woman, right?
I guess they were married, right?
I
I don't know. I don't know if they were married
I'll
or
leave
she
that
was
one
just a
alone.
hang. She was
I'll
just a
leave
hang
that one
around.
alone.
She
Since
was.
we're not
She
going to get a
wasn't.
footnote on it.
You're not going to get a footnote on it. We are the
Yeah.
footnotes.
Yep.
Yeah. So Jolly goes back to the Burnham with his top knot because I guess he thinks she likes it. Although I don't perceive the fact that they're going to let him keep it.
Who knows? Yeah.
And now he's back to normal size.
I think he picked her up.
Oh, he picked her up. Yeah, he would have had
she
to.
jumped into his arms and he's just holding her on both sides by the waist.
That's so sweet of you, dude.
I mean, the dude's probably able to bench like 300 pounds. So easily.
Like 50 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he just drop kicked an atomizer. What do we call it? A sonic resonator.
A proton
disruptor.
Stabilize, just a proton disruptor. Yeah.
Yeah, that was 50
okay.
feet
So
tall.
then you have Colonel Ty over here saying, you know, everything's ship shape in Bristol fashion. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
He gives a really good Star Trek pose up there in his command chair saying engage.
Yeah. It's
and they
time,
even say engage the star drive because of course they did.
Yep.
Engage.
Yep. Engage then, the star drive. Yeah, and this is actually a good face for Ty. This is pretty good. That's a good one.
He looks like a badass there. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one, dude. That's a good. Where this is serious business because what we always said before, when it's time to go to work, they go to work, and they don't mess around with the serious stuff when it comes to, you know, fighting, operation, stuff like that. They've been pretty true to that, right? You can always get the feeling, like what I always say about Starbuck, that he's always, you know, he's a jokester, he does that, but when it's time to get serious, he does. Even if he's making jokes, he doesn't screw around. Like, you know what I mean? That's why I like Ty so much too. He's probably the best XO you could ever have. So he engages it with a key or whatever, turns it a button.
Yep.
And then we get your best Shovelhead Galactica.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're back to the Shovelhead.
I can barely read this. So the stars disappear as the fleet carrying on all of humanity leaps into hyperspace and the future, leaving behind the desolation of the 12 colonies, the Cylons, and the past. Boom, boom, boom.
And they made a small mistake here. If you draw the circle all the way around, you would still see some of this magenta in the upper section where they have space in there. But nitpicking, I know. But yeah, the fleet always looks different every time. But
every single time. Yeah.
They're headed out. Then you have your comedy scene here. In the wake of the vanished fleet, it's all your fault. Me. He was the one that said to steal the food. No, it wasn't. It's your fault.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. At first this was kind of funny, right? And it is. It's hilarious that they're arguing, like you said, comedy scene. And they're
Mhm.
just going back and forth. And you could see it if it was in real life. Yeah, man, yeah, just going at it, right? But then it's not really funny anymore, right? Because they're
Well,
stranded. They're stranded.
they're stranded and it gets dark real
Yeah.
quick.
Real quick, dude.
Real quick. But even as Magda takes leave of her disgruntled allies, a shadowy figure slips ever closer to the drifting Justice, a pilotless stalker searching for traces of the fleeing remnants of humanity. It has found one. Then they
Yeah.
scream about the Cylons.
Scream. The Cylons are back, everybody, but it doesn't freaking matter, right? Because
Mhm.
this is it. This is the end. And I got that Hoth Star Wars probe droid. Remember that? I got that feeling from this, but um I okay. So the letters normally, one guy's here is he's mad, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I don't like the fact that the editors and then did a sports thing for some softball team. Who cares?
Marvel versus DC. Yeah, nobody.
Nobody gives. I don't give it. It's the last issue, and this is what you put in there. Bad form, right? Or is that just me?
Yeah, yeah.
That's bad form. Who gives a damn about your
Especially the
damn
lineup.
softball game?
Especially
Yeah.
the lineup.
I mean, look at the names. I mean, you've got some great names there.
Jim
John
Shooter was
Romita
on first
Jr.
base.
Yeah. Al
Okay.
Milgrom. Yeah, I mean, I know some of these, and I can guarantee you between Hungary and Klobby, D Bud, and all those guys, they would know almost all of them, except for like the manager merchandising people. They wouldn't know who those people are. Nobody does.
I don't
And
see
nobody
Stan Lee
cares.
taking the field.
No, he would have been a fairly young man here, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's 40 some years. Well, I don't do the maths, guys. But yeah, what was the box score, Fandy? We'll have to wait till next
17. Yeah.
issue.
Yes.
We'll do that next week.
The first
You were gonna
inning, they
say
took
that,
a
JT.
5-run lead. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they took a
Gavin and I will
5-run
talk
lead.
about this on the sports. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so
Um,
the one guy's mad. Um, oh no, actually, it's Jennifer. Yeah, she's like, please don't cancel. And they took the high road here and just said, as hard as you may find it to believe, the fact is that the overall sales just are not good enough. And I'm like, man, I'm not buying that. Are you?
I'm not
Maybe
buying it either.
I
I mean, I have no idea. I was not alive at the time.
maybe I would have only been 12, 11. I told you, depending on the month. So I wouldn't have gotten into all that other than I knew that they stopped the show and they stopped this. So I was pissed. More for the show, really. But they said it's money. That's all it was. They do give a little thanks here to everybody. And Walt Simonson does say, may the blessings of the Lords of Cobol go with you all. And that's it. Nothing
The
from
Phantom
Stan Lee.
Outsider
Nothing.
says at that time, if you sold under 150K a month, you were gone.
If you sold under or over, what did he say?
At the time, if you went under 150K a month, you were gone.
Okay. And that would have been profit, right? Or at least
Mhm.
breaking even. I don't know.
Oh,
I would have assumed.
you were still making money at that. Trust me, you were still making money.
Because these comics were only 50 cents. All right.
Well,
I
yeah,
think
think about
50
it.
cents.
Gas was like what?
Yeah,
40
well,
cents
I
a
mean,
gallon?
it's all retro. It's all retrospect on how much things cost. But to make a profit or to break even, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe the show being canceled, they were like, it's not making enough. We're done. Maybe they realized they were having problems with it. He said you're profitable. Yeah. Ed said something else.
Yeah, and in this letter here, I refuse to say something witty like fellow Galacticans because you obviously have no connection at all to anyone sensitive or well-meaning, or you
Oh,
wouldn't break our hearts by canceling the mag. Like, dude, dude,
That's
not
Jennifer.
holding back.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
pissed.
Sorry.
She's pissed. Yeah.
You can't say
She
it's losing
really,
money because I know at least 100 people who take it, and that's not counting all the people who have the subs and buy an extra copy at the store, and the ones who don't have a sub but buy it at the store anyway. I am certainly glad this isn't a telephone because obscene phone calls are illegal. I'm
yeah,
not so sure about that. I mean,
not
I've
back
said
then.
many a thing to telemarketers over the years, and yeah, maybe it's because I just heard, but I'm so mad I could tear somebody's head off. In closing, please don't cancel.
Yeah, they didn't do a very good job with their bullpen. They put her letter in there, and then a couple lines saying, "Oh, we just don't have the money." And then there were some other people there that wrote letters that were okay, kind of nice, and they were just like, "Oh, uh, really bad form to just put a softball game lineup in there. Who gives a damn?" To be honest with you, I was like, "Why is it? This is the last issue, and this is what." There's no letter from Stan Lee. There's no letter from Jim Shooter, the editor in chief. There's,
Mhm.
I mean, that just seemed a little no class, really, to be honest with you. That's what I'm just the bullpen part of it. You know what I mean? I would have thought that Jim Shooter, and I'd say it to him if he's here. I wouldn't care. I'd be like, well, Jim, why didn't you just at least put a nice letter or something in there? I
Right.
mean, it would have been nice. Something from Stan. I mean, I know he's busy back then, right? He was very busy, but you got your name all over it. Stan Lee
Mhm.
presents. um, so let's go with the comic, and then we'll do a quick series thing because, yeah, we're still on normal time for a two issue episode show. So, what do you think of this one just by itself, without knowing it was going to end? But obviously, you can't get around it, right? It's going to end. So, let's have it, JT. What do you got?
This final, I do not like. I do not like, and it's not because I can't accept that we're finally at the end of you and I reviewing this, because I had read this issue before in the past, right? I do
Yes.
not like this ending because I did not care about the food. Is something that critical to the fleet is a food thing. I
And
don't think they did a good job of it, and I
no,
don't
they'd already
think,
done that too, JT.
yeah, and they
We already
have
went through all that
what, like
twice.
twice? Yeah, yeah.
Twice.
We can both think
They solved the
2 other
food
times.
problem. And they
Yes.
already had all the food thing with Sire Yuri. It was just going back on it. But sorry,
And
I'm jumping
oh
ahead
no,
on
you're
you.
fine. And to a major extent, you have a cast of your main characters: Colonel Ty, Commander Adama,
Mhm.
Starbuck, Apollo, Athena, Boomer. That's your main cast, right? This last issue barely had any of that in there because they spent way too much time running around with Jolly and Boomer doing this, just silly story that wasn't plausible on many, many levels. And the more you started looking at it, the more you're like, the art doesn't make sense. The story doesn't make sense. The plot's just happening to happen. If you're going to do a final episode, please think about what you're going to do. And then at the end, I don't feel satisfied by that ending. And I don't know if they did that because they were mad at the readers for not buying enough, or they just felt like they wanted to be lazy and not think up of a real ending where they reached Earth or didn't reach Earth. Um, it was wholly unsatisfying, and I think most people would feel that way. You, I know they'll say something witty in reply, like, "Oh, it's about the journey, not the destination."
Yeah.
BS, BS. In this case, if you're going to end it, get to Earth or don't. Don't leave it as a question mark, because you have no intention of bringing this comic back.
No.
If you tell us, oh, it just didn't sell enough, so we're giving up on it, you're not looking to bring this comic back in 6 months or a year. They knew the TV show wasn't coming back. So what's your future that you have on this? Just end it already. And I felt like they wasted space too many pages on the food story
Yeah, the
to
whole food
even
story,
bother
period.
focusing on this. To even bother, I think it was probably more personal laziness than anything else. And I'm not a fan of Stan Lee, so I'm going to put it on the man at the very top. This is Stan Lee's fault.
Yeah.
It's presented by Stan Lee, and he presented a pile of poop for the end. So that being said, the final issue, I don't think this is the worst of any of the comics, right? It's definitely not worse than 14.
No,
The art's
that's our
okay.
worst.
The art's okay. The writing was bad. I would give this a C minus because I think it's just below average compared to all of them. The cover was lazy. I think the effort, they got the best they could out of what little effort that they put into it. And I don't mean the people necessarily doing the actual penciling, right? Like
Yeah.
those people, I am not hating on with my review score, but yeah, I blame Stan. I blame the writers on this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I was trying to figure out where the Dynamite 1980 comics. There's two series from Dynamite,
Mhm.
in 2013 and 2000, and what I found here is 6. But I think who's that gap? If you can, and then there's a 2018. We're getting requests for 1980, but I don't know which one of those series. If you can let me know, because I'm on Twitter with you as well,
Mhm.
or if you can find out by the time we wrap this up, because I'm trying to find it on mycomicshop.com where I can pull all these up and then see which one it is on the comics thing that we do here, right?
Hmm.
Read all comics, because they've got a list of Battlestar Galactica stuff this long. So I'm not going to be able to find that tonight.
Okay.
Because because I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but I'm going to go even lower grade, D. I do not like, as you can tell, what they did on the bullpen. They knew it was the last issue. So just from them, like you had said, nothing from Stan, nothing from Jim, just
Mhm.
answering.
Mhm.
And Walt Simonson did do that 1-2 little line thing. And I'm like, dude, that's it. I mean, come on. You're willing to put that letter from that lady and then put in a couple lines saying it was all about the money. And then you just, like you said, you didn't really care at the end. Maybe we're not knowing, maybe they hated working on it. Maybe they
Maybe
didn't
they
want to
did.
spend them. Maybe they just didn't want to do this crap anymore.
Well, then find somebody that does like to do it.
Find
There's
somebody
plenty
that
of
does.
people that wanted to get into comics at that time
There you
because
go.
there's a lot more money in it now. Like there's a ton of people that wanted to get into the business now, and there's not even any money left in the whole thing. So, if you
Yeah,
got people with bad
and
attitudes in this thing with no heart in it, well, then just give it to somebody else that did. I
what you're
think we would have accepted even worse art than what we got for people that were truly passionate about it. You would have sold more comics too,
you would have
in the
sold more
long run.
comics, and you can't tell me that knowing it's the last issue, you did this thing where you left some guys out in space to get crushed by the Cylons and tortured, because that's what's going to happen to them, right? They're going to get tortured, and you just don't, and just find Earth, then make it a super double issue. How they didn't want to spend the money, right? You couldn't make it a double. Wrap up the Jolly. You could have wrapped up that Jolly thing in 2 pages, 3 pages. They go, they find the guys, they beat the crap out of them, they arrest them, done, right? And then you could have made 10, 15 page. It was a 30-page one, right? Wasn't it? 30 some pages?
30 pages plus
30
the pages
pages,
that weren't scanned in for the ads. Yes.
right, for the ads. And so you could have had 8 or 9 pages for Jolly if you had to take that long, and 20 some pages to go find Earth.
Mhm.
So the question I'm having for you and everybody, and thank you everybody who's been hanging out with us each and every week. That's so awesome, and you guys are hilarious. My God, sometimes you guys, you've got JT and I cracking up some nights that are just hilarious. Why didn't they do that, JT? Why didn't anybody answer why they wouldn't just spend 20 pages on just ending it and find Earth? How hard would that have been?
And even if you don't find Earth, you at least gave 20 pages to the attempt to find it, right? Like you could have had the Cylons come in for the ending. You could have had, something where they have 3 guesses left and they only have enough, fuel for one more jump. Mm-hmm.
Real quick, JT. I hate cutting you off, but Gap is leaving, and Gap requested the 1980 Dynamite one. I don't know, Gap, if you can get back with me on Twitter to find out exactly which year that was and which one from Dynamite, because there's at least 3 different series. Or I couldn't find it wasn't labeled 1980. If you can help me with that, maybe we can do that. But we might do Black Panther, or next week we might be doing a comic book. What did we say, JT? The ads. We're going to talk about all the funny ads and stuff. I think we'll do that next week, and then that'll give time if anybody wants to put in some requests now. And JT and I'll take a look at it and see what's up. This isn't set in stone. Black Panther isn't, but it's a small series. I think there's only like 15, 16, 17.
I have not read it for certain. I know I have not read it.
Yeah, it's so good. I love it. But we'll talk about it later. This isn't set in stone. For next week, maybe the comic book ads. JT and I have been wanting to do that. They're so cool, man. I remember those ads, and actually bought some stuff. That is how old I am. Bought stuff from them. Wish I still had it, right? But so Gap, have a good night. We're going to go on a little bit more here. And JT, I'm sorry I had to cut you off, but he was leaving. Gap's been with us from the beginning. So
yeah, no, it's great. I've really appreciated having Gap in here with us covering it, because the more people that are in here, the better, right? But everyone brings a different perspective or a different life experience. Maybe they bought these originally on the stand. And so just getting to hear what different people think about it, or their different opinions, maybe they disagree with us and they get us to look at the comic a little bit differently. That's cool too. So, Gap, I hope you keep tuning in to watch us, on something else, but I'm glad that you liked us covering PSG.
Oh yeah. I think he's Gap put in here in the 2009 trade paperback, 5 issues. If you go to that Dynamite link, if you're still there, you can type it in, but I'll look it up. I'll try to find it.
Get Gap on Twitter too, right?
Yeah,
you're on X.
I think we're on. Yeah, he posts stuff on Twitter. Actually, you just post it, and I can follow it. If you want to say that and just send it to me, that would be great. Might skip next week and do the comic book ads. If not, maybe we'll do that one or Black Panther, and then get back to the Battlestar Galactica. But if I can find it, I'm going to do it for you because I find it interesting. I haven't read it. Have you read it, JT?
No.
Okay.
It
says it's only 5 or 6 issues. So.
Yeah, Buddy's also putting in here in the chat 79 Marvel Buck Rogers Giant Movie Edition and the 79 Whitman Gold Key Buck Rogers TV show comics run about 16 issues.
Buck Rogers, huh? I have a give me 2 secs.
Yeah. So while he's looking there, there is a lot of, I guess, disagreement or conjecture on maybe how this should have ended.
Okay.
By fans that originally read it or who didn't originally read it. And Dave is back. So
I almost ripped everything off of my headset, dude. I'm very careful. I don't knock over my 2 most valuable and best like posters. The 79 book. You mean this one?
There you go.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, pardon the pun. Sorry. I didn't actually mean to say yeah, buddy, but yeah, I guess that works. Yeah, this is kind of cool. So Yeah, maybe we can have a night where we feature just some small things that like 1, 2 issues. The one that Gap wants is only like 5 issues, so we can knock that out in like 2 weeks. That'll be cool. I'm interested. What's the other one? And Buck
The 79 Whitman Gold Key comic run.
Whitman Gold Key. I'm writing all this down so I don't have to go back and try to find it. Whitman Gold Key. The TV show, obviously, TV show around 16 issues. I'll try to find that. Cool. All right. And I can't say how we're all orders are going to do all this, but yeah, man, we can definitely do this one. That could be a feature. Although I can tell you, oh no, I'll say that for later.
A delicate copy there. Is that a delicate copy?
I'm going to say that I can give you a preview. It's not that. No, it's pretty. It's pretty durable. It's old though, but the pages are.
You get a decent amount of yellowing.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So,
the color still looks good.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the style of if it was black and white, Savage sort of Conan type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is for everybody. I mean, it's huge.
Give you shin kicks for not using gloves.
Oh my god, yeah, especially for this one, right? But you can see how big it is. It's huge. Get some nice pictures on it. You know, get Tiger Man.
Yeah. Do they have Ardala on there?
I think she's on the front. Oh yeah.
There we go.
And I have an idea about having a little thing between Princess Aura and Princess Ardala versus.
Nice.
See how that works out.
So Dave, what was I gave it this one a C-. It's bugging me. I have to know. What did you think of this final?
It's a D for me.
Really? I gave it higher than you did. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I was still really perturbed on how they did the ending with the bullpen. The cover was bad. They spent way too much time on this Jolly thing. Although I like Jolly as a character, but the whole food thing, like you said, just was way too long. You knew it was the last issue. You put it on the cover. You already told people. And you just left the ending is leaving those guys hanging. I mean, it's not nitpicking to me when you could have come up with 1,000 different better ideas than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could have put those guys in jail and spent a couple pages on, almost there. You know what I mean? Light at the end of the tunnel type of shit. And it's just low. It was low class. I mean, I was really pissed. I mean, I was really disappointed in how they, and I meant all the people who are involved with it. Like you said, where's Stan Lee? Somebody put in the comment, he's not going to get involved with this,
And Phantom Outsider brought up a good point that that Glenn Larson still maintains some kind of rights to this, right? So they may not have had the legal ability to actually write an ending to BSG.
Yeah,
Glenn may have not given permission for it. Even with that being said,
he couldn't have stopped them from drawing a panel where they saw something that might be Earth. He can't stop them from that, right?
Right.
But I like the way you're thinking there. Infante had a good point. The last episode of the TV show where they were listening for Earth transmissions, and after they leave the show, the moon landing, which is odd. Yeah. And JT, you might have a very excellent point there. Who knows what happened behind the scenes? Could have been the money. Could have been. We just don't know. I saw a lot of laziness in this episode. There wasn't a lot of humor a couple times. The thing with Boomer was funny, although misplaced. But there wasn't a lot. Starbuck wasn't featured enough. Are you kidding me? He's the show.
Right.
Starbuck is the show. right? Well, I mean, Adama and Ty and all them are too. I mean, the overall general characters are what we all loved about the show, and to a certain extent, the comic.
Apollo and Starbuck. Yeah.
Yeah, Apollo, Starbuck, even Ty, Jolly, Boomer. They did promote Boomer. We didn't get to see it, but they did. I think because they took flack from it, from the people, from the readers.
So, can I ask you a question then? It's an open-ended kind of question.
Sure.
How would you have closed off the series? How would you have written this final one?
Well, I think knowing that what you said, there might be some aspects to it that I'm not aware of back then. If it's a Glenn Larson thing, then you really don't have much choice to what they're telling you, right? But if I was in charge, like how high of a level, like a Jim Shooter level or a Stan Lee level, what's my decision making ability? If it's high up, I would definitely have done some better endings with the bullpen. You know, thank you very much for everybody. Thank you for supporting. You know, something nice. If I'm Stan Lee level,
Right.
If I'm below him and he doesn't have anything to do with it, that you still do that. The ending, I would have not done that with the prisoners just hanging there. Now you bring the tin cans in, and we don't even get to see a artwork with them.
Right.
That pissed me off. I'm gonna be honest with you. You can't even show some Cylons at the end on the last issue. There's no reason for that. You know, I have a little passion, and don't get me wrong, I actually like this series overall.
Yeah,
I like it. It's fun. It's fun.
We still had the character. Oh gosh, and I'm having stream brain right now. You have the guy that betrayed the humans still alive, right?
Baltar. Well, originally he was executed, right? So didn't we have a little confusion as to whether he was still alive or not? I thought that he was.
I thought that he was too.
Yeah.
So work with me here on this. I guess this is how I would have written the ending, Dave. In having seen Star Trek Voyager many years later and knowing not how to not do a return to Earth from the other side of the galaxy thing, I would have first not said Earth is outside of the galaxy. I would have said it's on the far end of the galaxy, but we found the course on how to get there. You have that scene where that ship jumps in and you do something where you have a chase episode or a chase issue, and you do that kind of a thing, and you split up the fleet, or you do something where you're more susceptible to getting picked off. You take massive casualties, so you don't know if they're just going to get all destroyed or if they're actually all going to escape. And so how you end it, if you're not allowed to get to Earth, is the fleet's coming apart at the seams. They do their last jump. And when they jump into the solar system, and you see Jupiter and Saturn. Now, you don't have to say what planets they are.
You don't have to say
you don't have to say if anyone's alive on Earth. You don't have to say they actually make contact. You don't have to say if the Cylons are right behind them, or if they successfully, finally, once and for all, evaded the Cylons, or if the Cylons are right on their heels.
That would have been great.
You give us a little bit more. You give us a little bit more, and you give us some excitement.
It's almost an F for me, dude. I'm being serious, and I've only given a couple of those. Actually, only one or two, to be honest with you. 14, obviously. I think one other one, maybe two other ones. I wanted to do an F on one, but they were funny.
Yeah.
So I think
now you're making me feel like my C- was way too charitable. I'm going with a D as well.
On you. Okay, picture this for at least one page after everything's said and done, a splash page, a side one, right? Because it would cut all the. What they did that for was the boxy muffin and squeezed it in at the top right corner. Have the artist pay him extra a little bit. You got to have some money left to do a whole page of all the characters lined up, right? and then have a nice letter from whoever, like it would have been me if it's not Stan. Walt Simonson took the time to write a 2-line little thing. He could have took the time to put that on a big splash page at the end. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for all the readers. Hopefully, check out our other new stuff. Hopefully you'll like it. You know what I'm saying? It just felt very low class to me the way it ended, because like I said a million times, they knew it. They knew it was the end. And and like you said, way too much time on the food thing. They wasted a great opportunity, because some people might be like, you know what? That's how they ended. I'm not buying this crap no more. I'm not, unless it's something like I really, really want. And that's what they do, right? They know you're going to go buy Spider-Man. They know you're going to go buy X-Men. They know you're getting the Star Wars one. Back then, they know you're buying the Star Wars one.
And I would have loved some revelation about the Cylons. I would have loved to have learned something big about them. And I don't even care if it necessarily followed anything with the TV show. And I know the reboot's 2 decades off yet, right? So you're wide open to just do something, but something about their origin, something about their motivation, something about them at all, right? That they just never go into. They never,
it's a bad ending,
leave
dude.
it alone.
It's just a bad ending. They're lucky they're getting a D. I'm sorry, dude. I think maybe I'm talking myself into them giving them an F. I don't want to do it for everybody that's been watching and everything, but that's just how I feel. If you knew that you were ending this, then you could have done that nice splash. JT, you had a great ending. You laid it all out. You can't tell me. I think there's more going on behind the scenes than we knew. That even if everybody hated it, somebody upper management would have said, hey, you got to put something nice there at the end. Who gives a F about the effing softball game? Remember how we used to talk, and everybody in the chat, remember how I used to bring up, and you used to agree with me and talk about it too, that we made fun, the funny stuff that we give them A's and stuff on, for like the 2 guys were just on their own, smoking weed, drinking whiskey. But on the other end, there's got to be people, or at least one person, who sits there and says, no, we're not doing that. We're doing
a lore
this.
master, basically.
That's Jim Shooter.
An editor. Yeah.
That's Jim Shooter, but his bosses is maybe there's something there that we all don't know about, that told him, I don't give an F what you think. We're just do the story, do the jollies. The storyboards are art. We're not spending another penny on a splash page. We don't care about the fans.
And look, there was I think you're right, because there's 100 ways you could have ended this, right? You could have killed off. I mean, they could have failed to have found Earth and just settled for a planet that's barely habitable. You could have killed off Starbuck and Apollo in a terrible way. You could have had them betray each other. You could have had them heroically sacrifice themselves for them jumping into a big void and nothing. I mean, there's so many ways that they could have at least given us an ending. The one thing that I will say that I did find disappointing on this is I wanted a full 2-page pinup of the Battlestar Galactica in
with
their
all
best
the characters, even Lucifer.
Well, even not the characters,
Lucifer,
just the ship.
Baltar,
just the ship. No, just the ship.
Oh God, that was
full
you know
2
how I
pages
feel about
of just that.
Oh,
And just pay
man.
the guy extra for a full 2-page illustration on something that you could remove those, buy an extra copy just to take that out and frame that image.
How much would that be? How much would that be worth now?
It would have
something.
It would be worth something, but they could have sold almost twice as many books, because people
oh my God
would have wanted it just to look at that.
They'd want 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
And
so,
in fact, that's what that lady said, Jennifer. She said, I know for damn well. She was pissed, right? She said, I know people are buying more than 1 copy.
Right. And I'm sure Clobby did too.
Well, I bought them twice, I think. over there. This is my second time. I can't even remember, man. I remember reading them. I don't remember. I've gone through so many comic books. I wish I still had. Oh, it's bad.
Yeah. So
Overall,
that's the ending on this is frustration.
I know.
I do want to
I
go
know.
more with. I have two more questions of you, if I may.
Dude, go. I'm here, man.
I want to go more positive with this.
Sure.
Who's and this is kind of a easy question to come up with. Who's your favorite character on this
in the comics?
Yes.
It's
and I know it's not Boxy. Okay. We all know it's not Boxy.
It's Starbuck #1 because overall they stayed true to his character, although he's smoking cigars way too much. Right. They did do that too much. That was it became a trope at the end instead of just his thing. But they stayed really true to his TV persona, right?
Yep.
His character, his lore. I always brought up his lore. They did a really, really good job with that, except toward the end. He was missing. Yes. They had those couple of episodes in Scavenger World with Euroli, and we liked those, right? For the most part, those were pretty good, right? She was a new character. She was hot, hot redhead who can read minds except his. Funny how that worked, right? But I wish they had gone more to Commander Colonel Ty, sorry.
Yes.
More on Commander Adama they didn't, but they ran out of time. They did give Boomer his own episode. They gave Athena and the girls their own episode or issue. They gave Dr. Enoch new character. They brought in some new characters after I complained, right?
Yes. Yes.
But Starbuck #1, only because of that. I liked Boomer. Apollo, not in the comics. In the TV show, oh yeah. It'd be very hard for me to pick a #1 in the TV show. They could have done more. I would like to have seen Ty with a background issue. They could have done it. See,
another 8 issues, he would have gotten one.
Oh, well, I would have hoped, right? Definitely. Yeah. So probably in the comics, Starbuck, then Boomer, and then who knows, Apollo. I haven't really thought about it like that. I did Starbuck, Boomer, and I want to say Ty's up there, but they didn't give him enough exposure. So
yeah.
What about you?
To me, it was Colonel Ty. I thought they wrote him the most military-like of all of them, which I think was underserved in this comic in a big way. I thought that they should have had more of a military focus in there, which would have made the comic excel far more. I think it would have given the writers actually more to work with if they stayed closer into a military and given them just a character of its own instead of trying to do some more generic trope stories from comic books, which maybe they did that on purpose because it's easier for the people they have on hand at Marvel just to shuffle them through the door and write these stories. But so Colonel Ty lives up more to, I guess, what I would consider the reboot mentality of it being more militaristic. And I don't mean that in like a violent way necessary, but I mean just more disciplined, duty, honor, a sense of order, right? And I thought Colonel Ty was a character that gave no excuses, no complaints, was dedicated to the crew in a way that I don't think we got with Apollo or Starbuck. They were campy at a lot of points in time. Not to say that they were bad in any way. I just would have loved to have seen that I would have liked to have seen a whole story arc, like a 3-issue story arc like they gave to some of these other characters, that was just sorely missed by the fact they ended this this comic run too
I-
early.
now you're
And
talking me into giving them an F for the last one
oh,
because it's starting
yeah.
to wear on my feelings about
Well,
how they
so
ended it.
but I liked every single time that they put Colonel Ty into something.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure I liked every single moment of it. I think he's probably the one character I didn't complain once about. So it's not
Not at
addition by
all.
subtraction necessarily. I just think he was the best written character and probably the most complex of them all. And as an adult, I think I appreciate that more. As a kid, I probably would have thought that he was boring or background character, or why is he even here? But I think you could actually put a show around that guy,
Oh, you could have.
and kind of,
You could have.
put him as the focus, which is kind of weird that they focus so much more on Adama, and he ended up not being my favorite at all. And I think it was the memory machine and just the way that they had him act seemed quite unprofessional at moments. And
Well, there's
yeah.
there's a lot of things militarily why, and even common sense wise that he would not have done. And we brought that up
Yep.
in this issue too.
Mhm.
He would not have stranded those guys out there for stealing food. They're just thieves.
Right.
Unless they killed a bunch of people or something like that we don't know about, he would not have done that. So I
Mhm.
blame the writers on that, the way you feel about Adama. But
Mhm.
obviously, that's not our fault either, though. That's what they did, right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's not your fault or our fault. That's their fault that you feel that way, you know. And I don't blame you. I wouldn't have picked Adama anywhere near the top. I was just kind of hoping because he was more of an endearing character, but so was Ty, right?
And I think Ty left enough room that you could almost write him into a romantic story, as much as I would have kind of begrudgingly just done it and read it and gotten through it. I think you definitely had a lot of potential for him there. That you could have had him, strike a romance up with another captain or officer from one of the other ships, like a civilian, right? That's
Yeah,
not in the direct chain of command. There's just so much there that they could add, and they took some of those chances in the reboot series too,
yeah.
with Colonel Ty. But Colonel Ty is a very different Colonel Ty in the reboot than he is
Oh,
in the
dog,
original
he's, you know,
TV, or
you mean
even
like a
in
drunkard?
these comics.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
not an alcoholic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like the memory machine, I know you didn't care for that one too much, but that's what actually I liked about it was the fact that it drew out the other people, and let's see what they do with Ty and Apollo and Starbuck, how they lead without him. That's probably why it actually inadvertently led to the fact you like the way Ty was written. And I pick him
Mhm.
with Boomer. It's a close second, man. I love Ty, man. They just didn't
And
do enough with him.
Ty, I think, would have
After
been it.
Memory Machine episodes, he just kind of drifted off here and there.
And
But
Ty, I think, would have been great to like yell at Boxy, which I would have liked. Like,
oh, you would
get
have
back to your,
loved it.
go to your room, kind of a thing. Get off the bridge. Just the one guy that's not just this total hippie parent that lets him do whatever he wants. Do whatever he wants.
Oh yeah, he's a superhero.
Yeah.
He's like Firestorm or Adam Man. Well, Adam Man wouldn't even be able to survive that, but you know what I mean?
But it would have been fun in the comic if they had done that, because they would have endeared him to dads, right? To
Yeah.
to the dads that were reading this thing, that have been like, yeah, get that, tell that kid what to do, kind of a thing.
I kind of wonder how many issues, because you and I always say episodes.
Yeah, well,
How
that's
many
because
issues ahead? Maybe 3 or 4, right? And they cut them off and said, we're not doing the splash page with everybody, a nice ending. Now screw the nice ending type of thing. I guarantee you, I think that's what happened. Or once they knew, they were like, all right, well, this is just business. We don't give a shit. We're just moving on.
right.
Nobody cared. I find it hard to believe that nobody cared enough to at least say something at the end.
Well, nobody in a
Cylons.
position of authority
Christ,
cared.
man, you can't even draw a Cylon? on your last episode. I mean, your last issue.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that pissed me off, man. I was like, what the frack? Are you kidding me? I didn't remember it back. It's been a long time since I read. Well, actually, last year when I bought these, but and I kind of start to remember that now. That I was kind of mad then too.
So, with that in mind, how do you think of this comic in context to the TV show? And do you like the comic more than the TV show? Or, if you kind of had to like pick a favorite and tell people read this one or watch this one first, what would you?
No, it doesn't compare to the show.
Like?
The show for me is far, 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 far better. This was just for fun. I actually overall like it. Giving it a letter grade for all of them, you know how I am. That's going to be kind of tough. Obviously, we all know that 14 was the worst one. Just completely ridiculous and insulting, really, to even kids. It was terrible. The only other one I liked, and I'm not a fuddy-duddy, which, I like some hot women in my comics, dude. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But they were really creepy. That one episode, the one issue that was just where I kind of went off and saying, this isn't for kids, is it, JD? Remember I used to ask you? Is this
really
for
not.
kids?
I mean, I don't even think it's
people
YA
alive
level.
and
I don't even think it's like a YA book, right? Like it's
no
more
idea.
For 16 and up as the intended audience. Not because there's too much. I guess what you'd consider like a rating. I wouldn't give it that bad, but the audience is intended to be at least a teenager.
Yeah, I wouldn't even compare this to the TV show. This is like a supplemental. If I never knew these existed, it wouldn't have mattered. Well, because I wouldn't have known. But if they were like way worse off, I wouldn't even be reviewing them. You know what I mean? I would be like, this is crap. But I had fun with them when I read them. It's different when you're reviewing them, and we're not even that in depth. You can say it's nitpicking, but a lot of the times we defended ourselves because they put the stuff in there in writing, right? How many times did I say that you brought that up and then they wrote it in there? They did that. We weren't nitpicking because they put it in, right? But nowhere comparable for me to the show. The show is just, if I could play it on YouTube without having to do Cosme, I would do that, right? So would everybody else, but
right. And there's some great ideas coming in here in the chat too. Buddy Hepburn was saying they may have had this issue ready to go when they were told it was the last one. It just updated the cover to include the text. And at very least, the last 8 pages where that story just hard cuts, right?
Yeah.
Like the last 6 or 8 page ending, you definitely could tell somebody just had that in their back pocket because they still had Boxy in there as something quote unquote relevant. And it really has no impact.
It's a screw. I'm actually getting really irritated that they put Boxy in, but not the Cylons.
Yes.
It just, I can't justify that in any way, shape, or form to me. I'm just like that. I think everybody knows it by now. They've been following me for weeks, right?
Yep.
It's just unfathomable. I mean, I'm serious, JT, and everybody, that you can't even put a Cylon in the last issue.
Right.
You can,
and we both picked up on that. We both picked up on that. So it's not like when this was done at the time that people weren't mad when they saw that thing, or they might have told people don't buy it because they didn't even put a Cylon in it,
Well, but when we found out and when we started paying more attention to the bullpen, we started seeing how people were mad at the same stuff we were mad at 40 some years ago.
Yeah.
That lady was pissed. She was pissed.
Oh,
she was mad. What'd she say? I'd call you up and say things over the phone if it wasn't illegal.
Yeah. I was like, what are you going to tell them? Jeez, lady.
Yeah. The things we're saying and the people in the chat as well is not far off, man. My anger to the fact that it's just, I don't get it sometimes, JT and everybody. I just
and
don't
here's
get it how you can sit there knowing it and not do at least just a couple of very, very easy things just for your fans.
yes.
I think you're
Yes.
right, buddy, and everybody is right. And the way they put Galactica on, they wrote Galactica and didn't even fit it in.
Yeah, it ran in. Yeah.
Was that just a print error or something?
No, that was like what I do when I'm trying to sign my name on something or write my address, and I start too big at the front and then get really small letters at the end of the line because the street address name is too long or something. It was like that kind of mistake that shouldn't have been made. I did want to touch on Phantom Outsiders thing here, Dave.
Yeah,
not to steal your thunder too much, but
no, dude,
he just had a great
always.
idea that I saw when they said they had a prison ship. Is the comment when they said they had a prison ship? As a kid, I always thought that eventually they were going to do a Dirty Dozen episode where some of them had useful skills for a suicide mission. Well, a self deletion mission. So that I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There are so many unused stories that had so much potential in here that, gosh, I really wish they had just said, you know what, it's not going well the way we want. Maybe we'll shift to quarterly, or maybe, to shift up the business model, or maybe we'll do half the number of pages or twice the number of pages, get a whole different writing team in on this, and let's go do something all out. I never felt like after reading the bullpen, like they ever were going all out to produce this story. Now, I'm not saying that the artists didn't try to do their best sometimes, although we know that there was quality issues. But I'm not trying to impugn them. I'm saying the leadership on this comic, you never felt like they were doing it for any other reason than to just tie into the TV show and try to extract a little bit of money out of that, in ways that you see love of something like in Star Trek, the original series of The Next Generation. You see that there's people doing things there because they really fanatically love the thing that they're writing for, right? And that, I think, is this was a cool idea, especially as a kid, that you would come up with that idea. I mean, just the creativity in that I thought was cool.
Well, it makes you think that, and that we could sit here and say, I had no comic book experience, that you, myself, people in the chat were in that room with people, and let's say people in chat could draw and all that, but the ideas that we could have come up with something better.
Yeah, sitting
Just
around
right
a bottle of scotch too. You know what I mean?
I don't do the do, but I'll drink some Irish whiskey every now. I don't have any, but I don't go out a lot. So I always, that's an excellent point between you and Phantom and Buddy and of course everybody else, Cap, that we all could sit together and do better. I have no doubts with that. Do you think I'm just being egotistical, or do you think that we could have sat around at a round table and done better?
I mean, look, I don't think it's an ego thing. I don't even think we're coming up with original ideas. I just think we're saying, hey, this idea would work well for this comic with these characters, right? We're not coming up with brand new original things. We're using tropes, right? Like these ideas that we're throwing out there, most of us. I mean, he even Phantom Outsider even had a name for it, like a Dirty Dozen plot, right? So we're not even saying like our stuff is so much better because it's wholly original.
No.
I'm just saying
because we're basing.
This is a great opportunity to tell this story right here. And Glenn Larson did a lot of stuff on the TV show that was mythology based or biblically based references and retelling.
And
they did it well.
Recap that, because I think you have an excellent point. He still gets the credit on every issue.
Yep.
Because they have to. It was his IP.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to
So
pull up a quick picture for that Galactica thing that I remember. I'm going to add this in. That used to be at the construction site at the VA back in Virginia. That's what it
nice.
reminded me of.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, fancy. It's derivative, but we're fans. We're all fans, or we wouldn't be here doing this. And I was just a little upset. I forgot how badly it ended, so I don't want it to take away, like you said, from overall. I think overall, most people know that I liked it overall. But that's an excellent question you asked me about the TV show. What's your answer to that question?
Oh, yeah. So to answer the question, I guess for myself is the TV show has to come first. And I think that's just because they didn't establish enough of the characters on their own in time. And that's because those first issues, they were trying to copy the TV show, and there was too much bang, bang, just one thing to the next. And they never really developed those characters past what you've seen on the TV show for a number of them. Now, Starbuck, I think, got the most play into some development as a character independent of the TV show. The rest of them, well, sorry, Jolly.
Well, one of my
Jolly was
in the comic book or in the show?
In the comic book.
Oh,
but the TV
he got
show
3
just
episodes.
simply
He got 3 issues. Yeah.
The TV show simply lays down too much for you to be able to do it in the reverse order. I think you're right.
Weird. I think it's too good. It's too good.
I think if you were to pick up and say, well, I want to read the book first, so to speak, before watching the movie, I don't think you can do that here because it was done in the opposite order. And you would just say, who are these characters? And you wouldn't understand some of the motivations and relationships.
Well, what do you think about some of the just insane stuff? We won't go delve into 14 too much. That kick from Jolly there. What possesses you to think that? Because it's a comic book. It's superhero stuff, though, right? That's not. And I'm not picking. You already know how I feel about it. I think it's outrageous in a bad way. It's the form was great, though. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, that you were right. That straight kick was magnificent. And I guess if he was about 400 pounds, but that's a 50-foot.
You know, at the end of the day,
machine.
Dave, I don't know the whole body of work of some of these writers, but I can tell you the way that they write this stuff, they're not science fiction writers. They're comic book superhero writers. They're
comic book superheroes, but it's so misplaced at times. And I'm not bashing it now. I'm just talking in general how you felt about some of it. It's just weird, funny at times, right?
It was either somebody writing out of their element or a middle finger to somebody.
I agree with the first thing. Before that, you said it's comic book stuff. Superhero stuff. It's just misplaced. It's not a human being would not be able to do that at all. You weren't on the one where Adama was on a flying space car, right? That's what it was, a little space car, 2-seater, 4-seater, whatever. And he literally jumps off of this space car. I'm just recapping some of our favorite episodes, issues. Yeah. He jumps off of this to a collapsing bridge, lands on it just to save this lady. And I'm like, what? That's a Adama. But he was young and fit back then because he kicked the shit out of his friend, the guy that was on there. You'd have to go back to that issue. It was a long time ago. He was a badass too. But these are military people. They're except for Jolly, I guess. But and then of course 14. So but I overall I liked it. I had fun with it. Is there anything outside of 14 or anything in particular you like the most out of all of this? And I'm not good with the issue numbers and
Oh yeah,
Anybody in
no,
the
I
chat
haven't
can
read
chime
them
in.
enough times to intimately know the number, what happened in each number. But I did love the story with the planet that I was somewhere around 7 or 8,
The
something
Living
like
Planet
that.
one?
The Living Planet, where it was really almost a Star Trek episode. And it was the most science fiction piece that gave you a glimpse of where they could have potentially taken this comic. So that way it's not just a game of cat and mouse with the Cylons for a million issues. They proved that they could use the crew and the tools available to them and all the puzzle pieces and put it together into an actual sci-fi story where they could have gone action one week and sci-fi the next, or blended them in an A and B story in one issue. And that was just cool. It lets you use your imagination and your brain a little bit more than some of these other issues. And it got away from the walls of text that we saw in other places that were more
Yeah.
space politics and
Yeah, space
and
politics.
talking in rooms that to be frank, I thought was kind of boring at times. You know, I would sit there and just say, okay, I'm going to skim this real quick and go to the next page. That story with the Living Planet was one of my favorites. I think I gave
Nice.
it an A.
I
That's
I think
easily
you've
in my top 4.
I think
That
the
story is
worst
in my
part,
top 4.
yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it wasn't Star Trekky enough. Like with scanning, they went and scanned. They had some particulars, but they're not good at it. We know this now, right?
Hmm.
We know
Hmm.
that they're okay with some sci-fi stuff. They're terrible with the security and safety of each other when it comes to viruses and stuff, where they come from a planet, they fly in on and they just jump out, but somebody else just had a disease and nobody cares. Then they all, and this was right after where they almost all died.
Yes. Yes.
So we laughed at them and came down on them for that. So these writers, and somebody made a mention about the writers, and yeah, you have to take it with a grain of salt, but in all actuality, you want a good product, don't you?
Yeah.
Right? You want a
Yeah.
good product and you want it to be entertaining, especially when you love the show, right? So I think a lot of people have touched on that they might have gotten a lazy or just didn't care. Like I posted this up, or I'm sorry, Gap or Buddy put in, they had the meetings with they just move on, you know. When the business sense of it takes over the emotional part of it, and you could have put the emotional part in, that's lazy and bad business, right? Because you had the time, you've got the ink, you've got the people, and whether they can draw it better or not, that's a whole other issue. But the writing and stuff, the one writing one, God, I wish I remember the number of that issue. The one I was talking about, the guys high five and just having fun. That was a great issue. I really liked that. That got an A. Because what gets me is you'll have certain elements of art that are fantastic. The ones with
Yes.
Jolly, where his eyes are like, and then the close-ups in the Vipers with Apollo and Athena and Boomer, and then the very next panel, absolutely just terrible.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Maybe it's
Well, if we had Hungry on here,
Hungry.
he could look at it and tell
Hungry
you,
would
oh,
tell,
that was
well,
sent back for a re-edit, and they had like 3 days to do 20 re-edits or something.
this is why you're so good on this. That's exactly what I was going to say. You were on that show, so
Yes.
and I both know it's a time issue. They might have had time to draw a really good face, and the next one is like, hey, just draw some yellow guy with a torch and don't even put a body or face to him. Just to
Yeah.
You remember that guy?
Yeah.
I always remember that guy. I don't know why I remember certain little things like that. And
Phantom had a great idea that you put up on the marquee.
Yeah, so him and Buddy too, but this is fantastic. Why not bring her back?
Yeah, he says, if I had my way in the last book, the Redhead returns as the Cylons decimated her world, the Harvester world, and she has the tech to go get them further away from the Cylons. In the end, after the getaway, Starbuck is there with the Redhead.
Yeah, so then he's got Athena, Cassiopeia, the redhead to deal with.
Yes. Yes.
That would have been great, dude.
Which would have been great.
Oh, that would have been awesome. But it kind of brought something else I kind of really missed out on. And I think Dadman would have brought this up. There's no action in this other than a drop kick by Jolly into a photon disruptor machine. What? The couple of Starbucks shoots a gun out of a lady's hand right at her. Doesn't blow her hands off, by the way, right? Because you can't have that in the comics. I understand. But where's the pew pew and there was no, this should have been a blazing hot action comic. And that would have been a good one. She shows up because that one big dude rats on her. Maybe he, tells a lie because he wants to be in charge. You know what I mean? And she comes back because she can't stay there anymore. They turned on her. And the silence, it should have been it could have been just a blast ass. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you had said, this could have been one. Fanty and Buddy had an idea, and somebody else had an idea. So there's no way that they should have not had something like that. And then they got out of that. They kicked the shit out of the Cylons and barely make it, and they're struggling. And then, like you said, they come out of something, and oh my God, you don't have to say what it is, Glenn Larson, right? Because I think you had a good point. I think you had an excellent point. We don't know what happened, but it's not an excuse for not doing things. Like this should have been an all-out blast off at the end, right?
Right.
Yeah. But I guess we'll wrap it up, man. Almost 3 hours. We got some good suggestions. I can't promise anything, everybody, because JT and I have not really talked about what we're going to do next. We're just kind of winging it.
We've got a lot of ideas. Get some strategy going.
Yeah. So I'm leaning toward JT. We'll talk about it later. Then to go ahead and get the comic book ad thing done, because that would be a lot of fun. It wouldn't be overall long. It'd just be a fun episode and talk about comics and comic book ads. Get a break from the reviewing, right. And then that'll give us a good 2 weeks to line up something. I'm liking the gaps and whoever came up with the buck. I think those are very, very doable. If I can find them where I can scroll down. If I can't do that, then I can't review. We can't review, right? Because we got to be able to show it to people. Senate trade negotiations next week. That's hilarious. Yeah, the redhead was looking for Starbucks pew pew. All right. Yeah. So, what do you think? Think we should just wrap it up, man? How you feeling? Anything
I
you want to ask
too.
me?
No, I think we pretty much covered a lot of the things that I was curious what you were thinking overall.
I'm not going to give it a grade overall.
No, I don't think so either.
I you might. I know that's cool. I like it. I like it when people do it because it gives context to what they're thinking.
I won't give a letter grade to the whole series either.
I liked it. I gave more better grades than bad grades. And it actually fits. I'm sorry, it actually fits overall for everything. The writing, the art, the concepts, like space and time. They stuck to the good, really good to really bad, right? They pretty much stuck to it all. So there you go.
And I was thinking, I gave an overall lower score, I think, issue to issue basis. But I think the scores that you gave every week were pretty fair. I mean, I really did. I thought they were fair. And I mean, you could definitely stand behind every single one that you gave. I enjoyed your thoughts on this, because sometimes I think I get a little too black pilled with stuff, and don't see
I do too.
the forest from the trees. So,
and I don't want to turn off my gas. You've been unbelievably excellent. 100% of the time, you brought up stuff that I had thought about or even missed, right? Because you're good at it, and then picked things that you'd seen and then showed me stuff that I missed after I had already seen it, more stuff with it.
Right.
Right. I mean, you're very smart when it comes to stuff like that. And I'm glad you've been hanging with me, dude. And I appreciate it in the chat. Phantom, Gap, Buddy. And we had a new person today. I forgot to write them down. I forget, it started with an A way back about an hour or so ago. I had a new person come in. They were funny, said hello. And I don't know if they're still lurking or not.
Archibald Bunker.
Archibald Bunker, yes. Thank you for popping in and saying hello. You made a few funny comments and then hung out. That was cool. And of course, Gap, Buddy, Phantom again.
Yeah.
And I hope I didn't miss anybody. I know we've had lurkers more than we had people coming in.
Oh,
but,
you get a decent amount of people that watch on the restream or on the replay. So to all of those of you that have been watching us on the replay, thank you, because it's actually far more than the people that join us during the show for the chat.
Well, Wednesday night, you're going on to 10, 11, 12, and we're keeping it at about the same time frame that we would on a 2-issue show.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually glad it's a 1 issue so we could talk.
Yeah.
But my voice is feeling a little rough.
Yeah. I'm feeling it. It's getting late. But I just wanted to say, thank you, Dave, for having me on for the series. And it's been really fun. And I'm glad we can close the book on this and move on to the next great thing too.
Yeah. And we'll get to that. Anything, JT, that you can come up with, I'd be more than happy to accommodate you and anybody else on their request, as long as I can get it on the screen, right?
Yes.
Other than that, it's a 4-minute review on a comic book that you show, which are great. But if you can't show it, it's not a 2-hour show. I'm not going to sit here and go. You can't do that. It's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can't find it, then we can't do it.
Yep.
Like this one, I can show this one off because it's small. That would be a fun thing we could do, like on a Wednesday and breaking in between. It's comic book related, but I can show this one off. It wouldn't be all that good because it's freaking the whole size of my screen. But we shall see. So we'll be back next week with something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And with that, say good night to everybody again. Fanthi, Gap, Archibald, Buddy, and whoever I might have missed. As always, love you guys. You've been so good to us. I appreciate it. And JT, special thanks to you for coming on, taking time and hanging out.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
And with that, we will see you guys next week. If not, I will put something on notice to say that we won't be here. Okay. So other than that, take care and have a good night.